Good evening, everyone, wherever you are, and welcome to our first exclusive YouTube stream. My name is Andrew Buonocore, and I'll be your captain tonight as we smash the champagne and sail off into the sunset with 7 matches covering 3 competitions. The FA Cup is often described as the greatest cup competition in world football, and tonight we have 4 FA Cup 5th round ties for you, including an all-Premier League clash and 3 games where clubs from the Championship are looking to topple bigger, richer and more famous Premier League opponents. We'll be going round the grounds any minute now, but we can go straight to the action with one game which is already 15 minutes old and another one just about to kick off. So let's go right over to Isaac Dilks, who's watching Stoke versus Brighton in the FA Cup. Good evening, Isaac. How have things started at the Bet365 Stadium?
Good evening, Andrew. Yeah, great start to this game for Stoke City, as you say, looking to cause an upset here over 8th place Brighton in the Premier League. Stoke languishing in 17th in the Championship, so not a great year for them so far. These teams last met in the FA Cup in 2011, with the Potters running out 3-0 winners against the Seagulls. However, as we've spoken, both sides' fortunes have changed drastically since then. As for Stoke's lineup, they make several changes from their 1-0 loss at home to Millwall. Jack Bonham comes in for the cup-tied Sarkic in goal. Lewis Baker returns in midfield, as does Tyrese Campbell in the forward line. And also there's a debut for Manchester United loanee Axel Twansby at centre-back. Brighton also make wholesale changes from their loss to Fulham just 10 days ago, with Steele replacing Sanchez in goal. Van Hecker starts in the back line, as does Tariq Lamptey, and Buonanotte joins the Seagulls forwards. Club captain Lewis Dunk also makes his 400th appearance for Brighton this evening. Looking forward to a really fiery contest here on what is trusting to be a cold Tuesday night in Stoke at the Bet365 Stadium. But 15 minutes in, it's still Stoke 0, Brighton Hove Albion 0.
Thank you, Isaac. A game just about to kick off any second now is the game at the King Power Stadium, where the 2021 winners, Leicester City, are hoping to go deep again this year. They're facing Blackburn Rovers from the Championship, who are building a cup run to go along with their push to get back into the Premier League after an absence of 11 years. Our man in Leicester is Matt Key. Matt, what news have you got for us?
Well, good evening, Andrew. Well, Leicester City are currently struggling in the Premier League, but as you just mentioned, they won the greatest cup competition in the world for the first time in 2021. Blackburn Rovers come into this one in the Championship playoff places, but are 6 times champions of the FA Cup. The Foxes have made 6 changes from their defeat against Arsenal in the league, whereas Blackburn have made 3 from victory against QPR in the Championship. It's Leicester City against Blackburn Rovers in the torrential rain at the King Power Stadium, and the game has just got underway. Leicester 0, Blackburn 0.
Thank you, Matt. Tonight's all-Premier League clash is between Fulham, who are having a great season this time around, and Leeds United, who will probably welcome the distraction of a cup game from the weekly fight against the dreaded drop. And with a new man driving the bus, they might even see tonight's game as something of a free hit. Fulham boss Marco Silva is delighted to have leading goalscorer Alexander Mitrovic available for tonight's game.
He's a really important player for us. For me, since I joined this football club, he's being one of the key players for us, of course. As you know, and I think the results showing that, and we are much more than just a player, and I think we have been winning games and taking important points for us even without our best goal scorer, that is Mitro, and that speaks about ourselves, that our strongest is really what we, and our values is as a team, not just one or 2 players, but of course, if you have all them available, you are stronger. That is clear.
Bringing you all the action from beside the Thames is Football Live's very own Mr. Bond, Rich Bond.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Craven Cottage, where we have an all-Premier League FA Cup 5th round tie between high-flying Fulham and relegated-threatened Leeds United. Hosts have had an excellent campaign, lying 6th in the Premier League after earning promotion last season. Tension, though, draws back to the Cup and a competition they've never won, having come close, being losing finalists in 1975. Took a replay to reach this stage for Marco Silva's side in the last round against Sunderland, be confident of progression, extending their 6-game unbeaten run here tonight. Doubts over Mitrovic, as we heard, for the tie, but he is fit after a thigh problem to lead the line for Fulham in the side that's made 6 changes from the side that drew 1-1 League Cup with Wolves on Friday. Mano Solomon also makes the starting 11, having scored in the night for the Cottagers. Now has 3 in as many games. He takes his place, also plays for reserve goalkeeper Marek Rodak, Tosin Adebayo, Sasa Lucic and Harry Wilson. As for Leeds, New manager Javi Gracia will be looking for improvements after a poor away record away from home this season, after winning only one in the last 9 games, coming in a 3-1 victory, funny enough in the Cup against Accrington in the last round. Gracia did, however, see his side win for the first time in 4 games to beat Southampton on the weekend, raising morale in the camp. He's chosen to make 4 changes to that winning lineup, with a start for club record signing Jorginho Rutter up front after impressing as a sub last time. Was also recalls for Rocker and Somerville in midfield and Christensen into the back line. Siniestra, Strunic are both out, while Rodrigo, Forshaw and Dallas are all long-term casualties. Fulham won a thriller 3-2 back in October. If anything like that kind of action here tonight, I'm sure it's going to be an entertaining match here tonight on Football Live.
Last in the cup, but certainly not least, we've got another potential banana skin for a Premier League side. This time it's Manchester City, as they face Nigel Pearson's Bristol City, who are stuck right bang in mid-table, but they're looking to get to the quarter-finals for the first time in 50 years. Robin's boss Pearson reflected on how he hopes his players approach the game.
I just want all of our players to go out there and enjoy it for what it is. You know, the ones who start the game are selected because we think they should be in the team. It's as simple as that. But we will only have an opportunity to do something special if the whole team plays at its max and they're not at their best. The big thing for me is that I'm really hopeful that our players just look forward to the challenge and that they go out there and play with the same sort of character and commitment that we've had over the last weeks, because, you know, that's the big thing that's changed our fortunes this season.
Let's get the team news right now from Football Live's Jack Hesson.
Yeah, on paper, this might seem like a straightforward affair for Manchester City, but Bristol City are undefeated in the calendar year, 7 games so far. The big team news for Bristol City is that top scorer Naki Wells does start. He was rested on and came off the bench to score a 1-0 win at the weekend. And Pearson also opts an objection of youth in the midfield, with Sam Bell playing out on the left-hand side and 19-year-old Alex Scott playing in behind Naki Wells. He marked his 75th appearance at the weekend and is linked with Newcastle United. For Manchester City, its FA Cup starts again for Stefan Ortega and goals. Enrico Lewis at right back. Calvin Phillips comes in at holding midfield, looking to bounce back from his injury. And Julian Alvarez, scorer at the weekend, starts up top once again. In 35 domestic games against lower league opposition across 3 different countries for Pep Guardiola, he's only ever lost 1 game. That was a defeat to Wigan back in 2018. However, can Bristol City make that 2 this evening? Bristol City versus Manchester City at 8 o'clock.
On top of all that cup action, we have 2 meaty games in the Championship. Luton and Millwall are the surprise clubs currently sitting in the playoff places in 6th and 5th places respectively, and they face each other at Kenilworth Road. Luton's Pelly Radukampansu was pleased with his side's 9th away win of the campaign at the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, obviously you wanted to get back to winning ways. We've put in 3 good performances, and I think that we should have got more points. But obviously it's good to come here at Birmingham and get 3 points and back up what we've been trying to do all season. And obviously we've got a big game on Tuesday coming up.
Football Live's man at Kenilworth Road is Pat Moret.
Yeah, good afternoon, Andrew. Welcome. And yes, it's football under the lights at Kenilworth Road, where Luton take on Millwall. Both these teams, right, they're in the playoffs, 53 points. One's 5th, one's 6th, exact amount of points. It's going to be a big game today. Luton last win was away to Birmingham when it cost them their star striker, Morris, who starts today. Apparently he suffered a bad shoulder, had to go for an X-ray, but it looks fine now, apparently. And their opponents won away last week, away to Stoke, and the manager said they won ugly. Whatever that means, I don't know. When we got to the side from Luton, 2 changes. Ruddock comes in for Bambuza, as you just heard there, just had a chat. And Lockyer comes in for Burke. As for Millwall, 1 change only. Leonard in midfield for Savage. So looking forward to that one. We're about 20 minutes away from kickoff.
Thank you, Pat. Elsewhere in the Championship, Preston face Coventry City. Both teams in with a fighting chance of the playoffs, but it's going to take a good run if they're going to sneak into that precious top 6. On loan defender Callum Doyle reflected on Coventry's excellent run of form.
It's really good. Obviously, getting them points as a plus, especially for pushing for playoffs. And we've just got to keep on going. And with this rhythm, I can see us like pushing playoffs. So yeah.
Do you just think in previous matches before this run, you were a little bit unlucky in terms of the results?
Yeah, obviously the games came thick and fast. So obviously it was a bit tired legs. But yeah, now we're changing it around now, and now we're pushing forward, which is good to see.
Footballer's Mook Khalifa makes his debut for us today, and he's got all the latest from Deepdale. Welcome to the team, Mook. How are things looking for tonight's game?
Good evening, Andrew, and thank you for that. Unlike Coventry, Preston hadn't won at the Deepdale for 3 months prior to last weekend, and will definitely have to dig quite deep tonight without Robbie Brady and Ben Whiteman through suspension, while striker Ched Evans returns to the starting lineup. Coventry, on the other hand, will be without informed midfielder Casey Palmer as he joins the ever-growing injury list. And a lot of eyes tonight will be on ex-Preston North End's Irish forward, Sean Maguire, who's only recently joined Coventry during the January transfer window and finds himself on the bench. A lot to play for tonight, and could be a pivotal moment in the race for the playoff spots. Hopefully a cracking game of football. I can see the guys all warming up here at the deep at Dale, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry 0.
Thank you, Mook. Finally, we give you a little Italian flavour with a huge game in Turin. It's the Turin derby, where the mighty Juventus look to stretch their run of dominance over neighbours Torino, having lost just one game in their last 33 meetings. Juve are still coming to terms with that 15-point deduction, while Torino have the chance to go above their bitter rivals. Jordan Nicoli is watching this one for us and has got all the latest news.
Good evening, everybody. I am honoured to be commentating on this evening's Turin derby between Juventus and Torino. Of course, these two teams are fierce rivals, but this fixture is even more finely poised because there's only 1 point separating the two sides. I'll start with the Juventus team news, and the main headline today is that Paul Pogba is back in the matchday squad. Yes, Paul Pogba is on the bench today. He has not featured for the old lady since rejoining them, and this is his opportunity to make his first appearance for them this season if he comes on. For Torino, they play with a 3-4-2-1 with Sanabria, their top goal scorer, leading the line. Just under 5 minutes to kick off at the Allianz Stadium.
Thank you, Jordan. We'll have every goal and all the action right here, but this is not a one-way street. We want to hear from you throughout the show. Tell us where you are, who you support, and whatever's on your mind. Barry Swain is tonight's man on the socials. You can tweet him throughout the show on Twitter at FootballLiveShow. Let's go over to that game at the King Power. Let's have a quick chat with Matt Key just to see how that game has started in the opening exchanges. Matt, what have you seen?
Well, we're about 10 minutes into this one, and it looks like it's going to be an absolute cracker. Two teams that are not very well known for their defending, definitely well more known for their attacking prowess, and they've both come close in the early stages here. Leicester, the closer of the two, pairs in the Blackburn goal, making a brilliant double save, and then from the Blackburn point of view, Tyrese Dolan, some really good work from him down the left-hand side. He forced a save from Daniel Iverson, who's come in for Danny Ward this evening. Yeah, 10 minutes into this one, looks like it's not going to be too long till that first goal arrives. Both teams really going for it. It's Leicester 0, Blackburn 0.
We've got two games already underway, just waiting for a couple more to kick off. The game that has by far the furthest into the first half is up at the Bet365 Stadium, where Isaac Dilks has been watching Stoke City versus Brighton. Isaac, you mentioned that famous phrase, a cold Tuesday night on Stoke. At Stoke, are Stoke getting stuck in on their Premier League rivals?
Yes, Andrew. Alex Neil Stoke is certainly creating an unfriendly atmosphere, as you might expect here at the Bet365 Stadium. There's been a few aggressive, hard challenges already. Josh Laurent has picked up a yellow card for his troubles after a hard foul on Moises Caicedo in the midfield. Stoke looking to put pressure on this young side, as Brighton often put out, forcing them into high pressing scenarios, making them play out from the back and trying to force them to mistakes, which Tyrese Campbell did do after about 10 minutes. He forced a great save out of Jason Steele from a one-on-one. But obviously Brighton will have chances. Buonocore, who comes into the side tonight, had a diving header at the back post after about 15 minutes, but that was well saved by Jack Bonham, who stepped into the starting lineup tonight as well. So just under the half-hour mark, Brighton have settled into this game really nicely, but Stoke definitely pushing. They look like the side that are going to be more dominant and physical in this game. But at the moment, it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0.
Thank you for that, Isaac. Just one result, a very, very interesting result coming in from Serie A in Italy. Cremonese, who are rock bottom and have not won a single league game all season, well, they've managed to get rid of that record. They've beaten Jose Mourinho's Roma, who you wouldn't believe were in the Champions League spots before tonight. They could easily be overtaken at the weekend, but Cremonese running out 2-1 victors at home to AS Roma for their first victory of the season. They were, until tonight, the only team in the top 5 leagues across Europe to not register a single win, but that has gone out the window. Cremonese beating Mourinho's AS Roma, and I saw a clip of Tammy Abraham mouthing some his displeasure, should we say, at the end of that game. So we wait to see what the repercussions will be for Jose. We've had kickoff in one of our championship games. The game up at Deepdale has just kicked off, and no goals so far in any of our other games in the FA Cup so far to date. In fact, I can scrub that one off. We've got our first one of these of the night. We have a goal already here on Football Live, and it's gone in the FA Cup game up at the Bet365 Stadium. It's gone to Brighton. It's Evan Ferguson who has scored for Brighton. We'll be going over to Isaac Dilks momentarily to get some details on that game. But our first goal of the evening sees Brighton and Hove Albion a goal to the good against Stoke City. In fact, let's cross over to Isaac Dilks now. Isaac, can you describe that goal for us?
Yeah, Brighton really making their quality show, as you might expect, that Premier League side. Final. Their own box, and it's that man, Lewis Dunk, club captain, who makes a quality vertical pass through to Kaoru Mitoma, who's obviously always involved at the moment. I feel like we're speaking about his name every single week on this show. And then he cuts the ball back across the 6-yard box to the young man, the 18-year-old Evan Ferguson, who's must be having the month of his life at the moment. Multiple goals in such a short span of time for Brighton. He's been brilliant tonight and got on the score sheet early here. So after 31 minutes, it is now Stoke 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Thank you very much for that, Isaac. You won't believe it, but as soon as we get that report from Isaac, we have a second goal on Football Live. Can Torino pull off the impossible? They've gone a goal to the good away at Juventus in the first minute. We'll be crossing over to Buonocore momentarily so he can talk us through that goal. But believe you me, that is already a shock score. Torino have only won once in the last 25 years against their bigger, scarier neighbours. And we'll pop over to Jordan in a couple of minutes. If we can just pop over to one of the other championship games, we'll have a quick chat with Mook Khalifa, who's up at the Preston North End game at Deepdale. They're at home to Coventry City. Mook, how's the first couple of minutes panned out there?
So far, so good. I mean, it seems as though some of the Coventry fans had some difficulty getting to the Deepdale, but everyone's here now, and it just seems like it's still early in the game. Still somewhat tentative, but nothing really happened just yet. But like as we said earlier, this could be a very pivotal game for the playoff spot. So so far, it's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Thank you. Let's cross over to the King Power Stadium. Matt Key is seeing a chance for Leicester City.
Yes, that's right. It's Jamie Vardy, 36 years old. He's come back into the team tonight and he's just forced yet another save from Pears in the Blackburn Rovers goal. It was classic Vardy, off the ball movement, running in behind, pointing to where he wanted it. Harvey Barnes obliged, found him, and with his left-footed shot, his weaker foot, Vardy tested Pears, who was equal to it. say really promising game here. Looks like it could just be a matter of time before we get our first goal. Blackburn have also had a couple of chances on their own. So yeah, don't be too surprised if we get a goal in this one very soon. 18 minutes gone now. Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 0.
Let's cross straight over to Turin, where Jordan Okoli has seen the first goal of the night. Jordan, what on earth has happened in that game?
What a start this is for Torino. Torino take the lead. Big shock, big shock. It was a corner kick. That's where the goal came from. And it was flicked on by Limonetti and into Camano's path. And he was unmarked. Terrible defending from Juventus. He had all the time in the world. He took a touch and finished it. The VAR was checking if there was a handball because it seemed as if he may have taken a touch with his hand. But no, it was great control from Camano and a fantastic finish. Juventus have been caught cold and Torino are leading. So it's Juventus 0, Torino 1.
Thank you, Jordan. All the chat before the game was about whether Paul Pogba would be in that Juventus starting lineup, and he is, but the headline's already stolen away from him by that shock Torino goal. We're going to cross over now to the King Power Stadium. Matt Keys watching Leicester City versus Blackburn Rovers, and chances for Leicester.
Yeah, that's right. In fact, it's actually Blackburn that have just come close. Andrew, it was Sami Šmodić who scored at the weekend in that win against QPR I mentioned earlier. Bit on the counter-attack, almost a Leicester-esque move, but Blackburn, really nice play from them. Šmodić was in, right-footed shot, tried to open his body up and find the corner. But yeah, good save from Iversen in the Leicester goal. He had Gallagher in the middle, he was screaming for it. Could have maybe squared it, but didn't. Choose to go himself, obviously full of confidence at the minute. Got an injury, but it looks like he's just walked that off and he's just about to come on. 20 minutes gone. Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 0.
Thank you, Matt. Rich at Craven Cottage watching the only all-Premiership Premier League tie of the evening. How have things started out between Fulham and Leeds United?
Yes, well, it's been a bright opening here. It's Fulham 0, Leeds 0. We've had about 3.5 minutes gone here, and after we had a very vocal crowd, Fulham have got here, and they've been the better side so far. They're looking to play quite direct, using the two wide men that have come in, Solomon and Wilson. They've had plenty of the ball as they look to swiftly gain some crosses into the box. Nothing much from Leeds as of yet. They're just trying to find their way into the game, but like I say, it's very even Stevens at the moment, but Fulham looking the more likely in the early stages. So we've got about 4 minutes gone here. It's Fulham 0, Leeds United 0.
4 minutes gone in that game. We've coming up to almost 40 minutes in the Stoke versus Brighton game. Let's cross over to Isaac, who's watching that game between Stoke City and Brighton at the Bet365 Stadium. You're approaching half-time in the next few minutes, Isaac. How's the first half appeared to you?
The first half's been quite level, actually, Andrew. Stoke haven't had much of the ball. They've been pressing quite a lot, doing a lot of hard yards in midfield in the forward line. But they've had some good chances. Tyrese Campbell looks the danger man for them. He's tested the Brighton goal multiple times with that wand of a left foot of his, and has forced good saves out of Jason Steele in the Seagulls goal. But Brighton look really dangerous in transition. Their pacey front line is looking to be very direct and get into foot races with the back line of Stoke. Try and get themselves in behind, play on the shoulder, and then force their way into a 2 or 3-0 lead that way. But I'm expecting loads more goals in this game. Both sides look very dangerous, but Stoke have struggled to really find anything clear cut as of yet. But as you say, close to half time, 37 minutes gone. Still Stoke 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Isaac, what's been Stoke's approach to this game? Have they been trying to kind of outmuscle Brighton and maybe burn themselves out in the second half, or would you say that Brighton are pretty much in control?
Brighton are in control at the moment, but Stoke certainly had them rattled in the first sort of quarter of an hour or so. They're looking to be very physical, as you might expect. They're pressing really high up, but they're all going as a team. It's very well coordinated. But Brighton are obviously a very, very good side and brilliant at progressing the ball under Roberto De Zerbi. So they've been playing out of the back really quite well once they've settled into the game. But there'll be chances for Stoke. They'll make mistakes. Van Hecker's a very young centre-back. He'll make mistakes in the back, and they've just got to keep the pressure on. And hopefully they can find something of good quality to try and get themselves back into this game.
Thank you, Isaac. That game running down to half time. Let's cross over into the championship. Let's have word with Muk Khalifa, who's at Deepdale watching Preston versus Coventry. You've had a few minutes in your game now, just coming up to 10 minutes. How the opening stages panned out?
Yeah, so a few minutes played, and Coventry playing very direct, constantly looking to get in behind Preston North End's back line. They've constantly tried to break on the counter and just trying to capitalise on any kind of mistakes. Preston still, from this moment, they look like the side that's most likely to concede first. But other than that, as we always know in football, anything can happen. And it's 7 minutes played, Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Thank you, Mook. We've had a couple of goals in tonight's featured matches. We've got that incredible opening goal for Torino, who are beating Juventus 1-0. And in the FA Cup, just the one goal so far in that game at the Bet365 Stadium. It's Stoke 0, Brighton 1. Let's cross over to Matt Key, who's at the King Power Stadium watching Leicester versus Blackburn.
Yep, and it's Blackburn, the away side, that have started to put on some pressure on the Premier League opposition. And they've had a couple of corners in succession, and we know what Leicester are like from set pieces. They can be a bit vulnerable. We all know that. And Blackburn looking to make that pay. They've got a couple of big lads in the box trying to get on a couple of the end of these. It's Tyler Morton that's whipping them in, the former Liverpool player who's on loan at Rovers this season. So see what they can do from this one, but they're getting closer, the away side, at the minute. Leicester still offering a threat on the counter-attack. 24 gone now, so over halfway through this opening half, and it's still Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 0.
Fingers crossed for you, Matt, for some goals coming up soon. One gentleman who's already got a goal in his game is the man in Turin, Jordan Okoli. We've had 11 minutes now. Now I can picture Juve boss Max Allegri telling his players to stay calm, but what's been the response from his team so far?
They're certainly not calm. They look rattled. Torino are playing much better out of the two sides. They are passing the ball well, keeping the ball well. The goal scorer, Camano, looks dangerous anytime Torino attack. Juve did have a shout for a penalty. Kostic seemed to have been taken down, but I think he just lost his footing, really. But Juventus are still not really warmed up into this match. It's all Torino so far. Of course, we know Juventus are a good side, so you expect them to start getting into this game. But so far, it's all Torino. With 10 minutes gone, Juventus 0, Torino 1.
Thanks, Jordan. A Torino win is a rarity indeed, but it's even quite rare to see them go a goal up. But we're going to cross over to Craven Cottage. We've got our man, Mr. Bond, Rich Bond, watching the FA Cup tie between Fulham and Leeds United.
Yeah, so Leeds have come back into this one a little bit after a bit of a frantic opening. It's been back and forth between both sides, looking like they're going to have plenty of goals here. I believe, both sides won't want to let this go to extra time and even a replay. But it was Somerville really who found the ball out on the left-hand side. He put a lovely little ball dinking over the top towards Rutter, having won only second start for the club. Lovely little neat ball over the top, and he couldn't quite get his outstretched leg towards it, but it's better from the visitors, who are showing like they can maybe pose a threat into this game. So it's at the moment now, 10 minutes gone, Fulham 0, Leeds United 0.
Isaac Dilks at the Bet365, a chance for Brighton?
Yeah, Brighton are camped in and around that Stoke box once again, just putting buckets of pressure on those poor Potter's defenders at the moment. But it's Moises Caicedo who decides to try his luck, the Ecuadorian, the metronomic midfielder who's been so good for Brighton this season. And he puts his laces through one, cuts across the ball, and it just goes yard past the left-hand post. But it had the Stoke goalkeeper Bonham really scrambling to make the save. Thankfully for him, it breezes just past, and the score remains Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1 as we come into half-time here.
We've got kick-off any second now in that championship game between Luton and Millwall, and the FA Cup game between Bristol City and Man City. The other game in the championship is at Deepdale, where Muk Khalifa is watching Preston North End versus Coventry City.
Yeah, just an absolute great chance from Doyle as he strikes from 30 yards, forcing a save from Woodman. Coventry then had a corner, which they didn't do too much with it, but there's still a lot to play for here. 10 minutes gone, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry 0.
Thank you, Mook. Back to the King Power Stadium. We'll have a chat with Matt Key. Any improvement on the game between Leicester and Blackburn?
Well, no goals still in this one, but as I say, it's a really entertaining watch. It's what you'd call a good 0-0. Keep emphasising that I think it'll only be a matter of time before there's a goal, and my hopes aren't dampening quite yet. Jamie Vardy just had a good run down the right-hand side, put a really good ball in, but no one was there. Vardy wasn't happy with the likes of Tete and Barnes on the wing, not getting in the middle for their striker. Vardy, incidentally, getting a bit of stick from the Blackburn fans, as he often does, but you know Vardy, he likes to play along with it. He loves that sort of part of the game. So yeah, still 0-0 between Leicester and Blackburn, but I say, Andrew, I'm hoping that goal is just only a few moments away. 28 gone here.
Thank you, Matt. It just feels like that goal is soon to come. Let's just recap where we are in our games in the FA Cup. Coming up to half-time, it's Stoke 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Leicester 0, Blackburn 0. It's 0-0 also between Fulham and Leeds, and 0-0 in the first minute between Bristol City and Man City. We'll be crossing over to Jack Hessen in just a couple of minutes. And in the Championship, we've got 0-0 between Preston and Coventry, and Luton just about to kick off almost literally against Millwall. But in Italy, we do have a goal where Juventus are a shock goal down to Torino. Let's pop over to have a quick word with Jack Hessen, who's at Ashton Gate watching the clash of the cities. It's Bristol City versus Manchester City. How's the opening couple of minutes started off for you, Jack?
Yeah, it's perhaps as you would expect. Manchester City with all of the ball so far. I'd imagine that is going to be the case for most of the game, while Bristol City try and frustrate them, keep the game at 0-0 and then try and catch them on the break, but still 0-0 at the moment.
We have another goal in the game at Juventus. We thought it would be coming, and it has come. Juventus have responded with an equalising goal. We'll cross over to Jordan Okoli, who's having the best game this evening to watch for sure. It's Juventus 1, Torino 1 in that Turin derby. And we'll cross over to Jordan in just a couple of minutes. But let's have a quick word with Matt Key, who's watching Blackburn on the attack against Leicester at the King Power.
Yes, that's right. It was the best chance of the game so far, and I don't know how it's not 1-0 to the away team. It was a lovely move from Blackburn on the right-hand side. It was Schmudix that put the ball into Dolan. He had the goal at his gaping, but Iverson managed to make a brilliant save, scrambling across. There was a big big round of applause from John Dow Tomlinson, the Blackburn manager, and I'm not quite sure if it was for his team's play or his fellow native Danes' save in the Leicester goal. Best chance of the game so far, half an hour gone, still Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 0.
Let's cross over to Turin, where Jordan Okoli has seen his second game of the evening, that equalising goal for Juventus. Talk us through it.
And what a derby we are having this evening. Juventus have equalised. It was great work on the left-hand side from Kostic. Poor defending from Torino. They've started to, take their foot off the gas since scoring that first goal, Torino. But yeah, it was great work from Kostic. He whipped in a ball, and no Torino defender could get onto it and clear it. And it fell all the way to Cuadrado on the right-hand side. He was able to take a touch and smash it into the back of the net. It took a deflection, but it's going to be a Cuadrado goal, I'm sure. And Juventus are back into this game. It looks like there'll be more goals in this one. It looks lively here at the Allianz Stadium. With Juventus 1, Torino 1.
I think you could be right, Jordan. That sounds like it might have some more goals in it. It's half-time at the Bet365 Stadium. Let's have a wrap-up of the first 45 minutes from Isaac Dilks.
Yeah, very exciting 45 minutes here, Andrew, at the Bet365 Stadium. Very even. Brighton have had a majority of the ball. Probably, you say, have the better chances and obviously have the goal scored by the young man, Evan Ferguson, the 18-year-old. But I wouldn't write Stoke out of this just yet. They've been very, very positive, pressing really, really high. And just in that last 5 minutes were very dominant, forced some mistakes out of Brighton's back line. And Josh Timon stung the hands of Jason Steele in the Brighton net and forced a corner. So a good period of dominance for them heading into the second half. And hopefully they can bring some momentum with them to try and equalise. But half-time here, in Stoke is Stoke City 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1.
Early goal at Kenilworth Road. The goal has gone to Millwall, and it's Zan Fleming who scored for Millwall to put Millwall a goal up away to Luton Town. And you won't believe this, another one of these beauties. A goal in the King Power Stadium game, the FA Cup match between Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers has seen a goal, but it's not gone the way of the Premier League sign. It's gone to Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn 1 up against Leicester City. And let's cross over now to Matt Key. Talk us through the goal.
Yes, that's right. The King Power is silent because it's 1-0 to the Championship team. It's 1-0 to Blackburn Rovers, and it's Tyrese Dolan that's got the opening goal. I've mentioned him a couple of times. He's been Blackburn's best player, and he's been rewarded with a goal. It was awful from Daniel Amate. He passed it straight to Dolan, who came forward, took a couple of touches, and then from outside the box, he unleashed a shot into the right-hand side of the goal, into the corner. He runs off to celebrate. Blackburn are delighted. They lead 1-0 against Leicester City at the King Power Stadium.
An avalanche of goals in the last couple of minutes here on Football Live. Let's cross immediately to Kenilworth Road for an update from Pat Noiret on that goal for Millwall against Luton.
One of the easiest goals you would ever seen. Millwall's been at it this game, you see. They've been actually going forward, not getting anywhere. So they get a free kick. The keeper comes out, which is long. He comes out with the ball. He takes a long kick. Then Bradshaw heads it on. And guess what? Fleming took a shot, but the goalie could not hold on to the ball. He just basically fluffed it. So with 4 minutes gone, it's Luton 0, Millwall 1.
Thank you, Pat. Let's go to the other game in the Championship at Deepdale, where Mook Khalifa is watching Preston entertain Coventry City.
Hey, Andrew, and it's happening again. Doyle, that man again, is constantly involved. He's just managed to get to free himself down the left-hand side and whipped in a delicious ball, which was volleyed and agonizingly close by, was it Allen? As I said earlier, it just seems like Coventry are constantly on the attack, and they're looking to break and looking to find opportunities, even though they're the away team. So that's what it looks like here. So far, 18 minutes played, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Back up into the FA Cup. Bristol City are at home. They've got a very strong home record, and they're up against Manchester City. Jack, what have you seen?
Yeah,
in fact, hold on a second, Jack. Hold on a second, Jack, because we've got to play this. Just before we went to Jack, there is indeed a goal at that game for Man City. Man City have gone 1-0 up in the FA Cup away to Bristol City. And you won't believe it, another goal. We've got goals across the board. It's a goal for Fulham against Leeds United, and we'll be crossing to Jack and Rich to cover those goals as soon as reports are available. In fact, let's cross over to Ashton Gate, where Jack will talk us through that goal for the Premier League side. What have you seen, Jack?
Yeah, Manchester City take the lead at Ashton Gate, and it's Phil Foden with the goal. Some lovely build-up play. Nathan Ake switches the ball across to Mahrez on the right-hand side, plays it into De Bruyne. De Bruyne plays it back into Mahrez. Mahrez then has the space to play it across the goal for a tap-in for Phil Foden. Bristol City had a half chance just before, but City have been dominant in possession, and they've made their early dominance count. 8 minutes played here. Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Great stuff, Jack. Pleased for you. We can now cross over to Craven Cottage. We'll have a word with Rich Bond, who's seen that opening goal in the All-Premier League clash between Fulham and Leeds United. Rich?
Well, it's an absolute screamer as well. We've got here Joe Polini, who's put Fulham ahead. Leeds thought they'd gone ahead a few minutes earlier, but now Fulham have it. Polini, he's won the ball back about 25 yards out himself, picked it up, he's just looked up, seen the keeper slightly off his line, and he's just bent one in, straight in the top corner. What a strike. Fulham lead here. It's Fulham 1, Leeds United 0. Got to catch me breath because it's going to be a good one here tonight.
Don't blame you, Rich. We've not just seen loads of goals. We've seen some wonderful goals here this evening on Football Live. Let's cross over to the King Power Stadium. Matt Key, Not as much excitement for you so far, but how are things progressing between the Foxes and Blackburn Rovers?
Well, I have to say, since that goal, if anything, Blackburn have looked even more dominant. You would have expected a response from Leicester City, but it's not come yet. And as I said, I promised that goal for ages for you, Andrew, and eventually we got it. But yeah, Blackburn have been so good. I've been really impressed with the Championship side, even more considering that when you look at their team, they're missing arguably their two best players in Bradley Dack and Ben Brereton Diaz. So we've got about 8 minutes to go till half time. 38 gone in this first half, and Leicester City trail 1-0 against Blackburn Rovers.
Thank you, Matt. Let's just recap where we are starting in the FA Cup. It's half-time in the game between Stoke and Brighton are a goal to the good there. Leicester are a goal down, as you've just heard, to Blackburn Rovers. And in the All-Premier League game, it's Fulham 1, Leeds 0. And Bristol City already a goal down to Man City. They're trailing by a goal to 0. In Italy, it's Juventus 1, Torino 1. We'll be crossing over to Jordan in a few seconds. But in the Championship, it's still 0-0 between Preston and Coventry. And it's Luton 0, Millwall 1. Let's cross over now to Jordan Okoli, who is watching that game in Turin between Juventus and Torino.
Yes, the derby is shaping up nicely since the equaliser from Cuadrado. Juventus are definitely growing more into this match. Torino, it seems as if they don't want to get too involved in a back and forth with Juventus. They'd rather just sit back and defend. But Juventus are starting to put the pressure on. Not much chances to speak of, but they have looked dangerous on the left-hand side through Kostic. It does look like a good game for Paul Pogba. It looks like a match where Pogba could come on, dominate the midfield, spray some excellent passes into Vlahovic. So hopefully we see Paul Pogba in the second half just to brighten up this match. But it's still Juventus 1, Torino 1.
Thank you, Jordan. Sounds like you're really enjoying that game. Let's cross to London for the game at Craven Cottage. Let's see what Rich Bond can update us on in the game between Fulham and Leeds.
Well, Fulham are leading by a goal to 0 at the moment now against Leeds. It's 23 minutes on the clock, but just before that goal from João Palhinha, about 3 or 4 minutes previous, Leeds did have the ball in the back of the net, and it was, they've causing all sorts of problems from set pieces. They're Fulham not looking a bit shaky at the back, and it was a corner from the left from Rocker. I think it came off one of the Fulham defenders. Messi he's gone and saved it down low, but it's fallen into the path of the new signing, Rutter. He's put in the net, but his referee has signalled for offside. So that was really bad for Leeds. And then Fulham, going back up the other end and scoring, completely not stuffing at them, but they've responded really well and are looking threatening. They've got a free kick on the edge of the box now at the moment. Now it's a really entertaining first half here with two sides that are really keen to win this match. But at the moment, 24 minutes gone, Fulham 1, Leeds United 0.
Just staying with you for a second, please, Rich. Obviously, a change of management at Leeds United, but it sounds like Leeds again are all attack, but not quite getting the results from that their attacking play might merit. Have you seen any kind of change from Leeds United?
I think they're having a go. I think the new manager's come in, and they certainly. I've always got that impression with Leeds this season that they are trying to score goals. They look threatening at times, and perhaps sometimes they haven't been as strong at the back as they could be. The results haven't gone their way, but there's plenty of fighting spirit in there. New manager in there, you always say you look to a couple of good results to kickstart your season. In the Premier League now, they've got that win to get out of the bottom three, and a win tonight would really boost the confidence in the camp. As of yet, they're having a good go of this one, and they are the side looking most likely to get the next goal. Fulham did score on probably against the run of play when they did get their strike. But yeah, 25 minutes gone, Fulham 1, Leeds United 0.
Big penalty shout at Ashton Gate, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, shouts for a penalty from Bristol City's players and fans. It was Mark Sykes on the left-hand side. It looked like he was breaking through on goal. Rico Lewis was trying to catch up with him. Looks as though Rico Lewis puts his hand onto Sykes' arm, and under that contact, Sykes goes down. Andrew Buonocore waved play on. Bristol City, however, are looking very lively here, and they are now getting a bit of spell on the ball. At the moment, 30 minutes played. It's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. No VAR at Bristol City, so no review for Bristol to after that penalty shout. But let's cross over into the Championship now. Let's have a quick word with Pat Noiret. Millwall, a goal to the good in your game, Pat. But what's been the response from the home team?
Well, they're trying, to be honest, Andrew. They're really trying because they've been shell shocked, I think, after that goal because of the goalie's blunder. The thing is, they're trying to play football, but Millwall are not letting them play. Every tackle being fought, every man's being tackled. As soon as they win the ball, they hit it forward very early, looking for Bradshaw up top, and then you got Fleming making late runs. That's how he scored his goal, making late runs, and that's what they're trying to do. But Fulham come forward, Luton trying to come forward, see if they can score. But I think it's going to be a really hard night tonight because they can be caught on the break. They can't play their own football. But with 13 gone, it's Luton 0, Millwall 1.
Staying in the Championship, we've got Muka Khalifa, who's covering his first game for Football Live. He's at Deepdale watching the game between Preston and Coventry City.
Evening, Andrew. And there's been chances on both sides, and both for Preston with Chad Evans and Johnson, respectively. Coventry also did have a chance when they got a chance to break and at a counter attack with Allen, who knows basically he should have done a lot better with the chance. Coventry have been the more aggressive side, at least as far as what I can see, and they've been a lot better with the ball. And it doesn't even really seem like they're the home team, and even though they have less fans there, with them. So far it looks like. I mean, hopefully a goal is coming, because a game of this importance, of course, someone needs to score, and my money's on Coventry personally. 27 minutes played, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Thank you, Mook. Let's cross over to the King Power Stadium. Matt Keys watching the FA Cup tie between Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn still a goal to the good coming up to half-time, Matt.
Yep, and as I say, they're still the team that's looking to add to that lead rather than Leicester getting an equaliser. They've just had another really good chance, and it's all from Leicester's sloppiness. Once again, it was Samare this time who, on the edge of his own box, tried a ridiculous back heel, which, I mean, the Leicester fans, they're really nervy anytime their team try and play out from the back. That was cut out by Blackburn, and it was eventually Dolan that put in a really cheeky Rabona cross. You can tell he's playing with confidence. Really cheeky towards the back post, and a good bit of defending in the end by Luke Thomas, managed to scramble it away. But yeah, we're just coming up to the 45-minute mark in this one, so a couple minutes at a time before the break, I'd imagine. But it's still Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 1.
Goals and Rabonas, goodness me. Let's cross over to Turin. Paul Pogba hasn't started a game for almost a year, but Jordan, you're spying some activity?
Yes, Paul Pogba has been spotted warming up, doing his stretches, and as he was doing his stretches, the fans gave him a standing ovation. They're happy to see their man back. Hopefully we see him in the second half, because I would say this match is crying out for the likes of Paul Pogba. Juventus has only had the one shot on target, which was their goal. So it is crying out for the creativity of Paul Pogba, but it is lovely to see Pogba, who missed the World Cup due to injury, warming up and back playing football. Hopefully we see him in the second half. Juventus 1, Torino 1.
Fingers crossed for an appearance from the Frenchman in the second half. Let's cross over to Jack Hesson, who's watching Bristol City at home in the FA Cup to Manchester City at Ashton Gate.
Oh, massive chance there for Julian Alvarez. A great cross ball from Kevin De Bruyne to Phil Foden. Phil Foden just cuts inside to the box, gets it to Julian Alvarez. He's about 6 yards from goal, tries to hit it with his left foot, and luckily for Bristol City, it hits off of Alvarez's right foot and prevents it from going into the goal. So it could have potentially been 2-0 there. Alvarez will feel like he should have scored that one. 17 minutes played, Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. Let's cross over to Rich Bond. He's watching quite a ding-dong game by the sounds of it at Craven Cottage.
Yeah, it's absolutely breathless stuff here. Leeds have had the ball in the back of the net again, and again it's disallowed for offside. And this time it was a Christensen shot from range, about 25 yards out. He drew a really good save from the home keeper that's covering the goals, Marek Radek, today. And ball was put back into the box from the right-hand side, but Gnotto is offside. He's looking back at the replays, about a yard off. But Leeds, looking very threatening here. Fulham looking to try and hold on now. About an hour, just over half an hour gone. Yeah, it's Fulham 1, Leeds United 0.
In the FA Cup, the game that kicked off first was at the Bet365 Stadium. They've already had half-time. In fact, they're a couple of minutes now into the second half. Let's cross over to Isaac Dilks, who's watching that game for us. Any changes at half-time, and what are your thoughts for the 45 minutes ahead?
Yes, Andrew, just the one change here. It's for Stoke. It's Will Smallbone, who's been a regular in that Stoke City Championship side this season. He comes on for the man in the yellow card, Josh Laurent. As you might expect, Stoke looking to be really, really physical, put in lots of hard challenges, and the man in the yellow is a liability. So that's just a tactical change there by Alex Neil, I imagine. In terms of predictions for the second half, I expect it to be really hotly contested again. Brighton look happy to invite lots of pressure from Stoke, playing out from the back, sometimes with 3 or 4 men in their own box, looking to make space further up the field. But Stoke will be very happy with that. They'll be wanting to win the ball high up the pitch, be very direct, and create chances from those quick turnovers. So yeah, all to play for still here, but 48 minutes gone, it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Thank you, Isaac. Let's cross over to the King Power. Just one goal in your game, Matt Key, watching for Football Live. But Blackburn, so far, a goal to the good. Have Leicester shown anything at all in that first 45 minutes that suggests they might get back in this cup tie?
Well, you'd have to say, Andrew, that you'd struggle to know which team is the Premier League team, which is the Championship one. What you wouldn't struggle to know is which team is playing with confidence and which team has none at all. Leicester have really shown a real lack of commitment. They've been booed off by their team, by their fans at half-time there, and Blackburn have just looked really confident. How often have you seen a Championship team flying high, go to a Premier League game and suddenly get that inferiority complex? Not Blackburn Rovers. They've been fantastic and deserve their lead at half-time.
Brilliant, as you said, especially with two of their bigger names, shall we say. They're certainly putting in a good account for themselves, but this could turn into an ugly evening, I fear, for Leicester City. Let's cross down into the Championship. We have Pat Noiret watching an entertaining game at Kenilworth Road between Luton and Millwall. Pat, how have you seen the last 10 minutes?
Well, Luton's come more into it, but no chances really. They're not putting their foot on the ball. They're actually slowing the game down, which gives them time to pass the ball. Before they were going 100 miles an hour, which is what Millwall want. They want to play that fast game, get the ball forward very quickly. Now what they're doing, they're slowing it down, passing it around, and they just got in with a cross and then a keeper caught it. But what they're doing is that what they should be doing. Just stay on the ball a little bit, just pass it about, and then wait until Millwall come out and see if they can catch them. But at the moment, it's looking quite good what Luton are trying to do, keeping the ball and to see if they can create a chance. With 20 gone, still Luton 0, Millwall 1.
Thank you, Pat. We'll recap where we are in our featured games in just a moment. Before that, let's cross over to Deepdale. Staying in the Championship, let's have a chat with Muk Khalifa.
Hey, Preston are turning things around and looking somewhat more comfortable on the ball. They've created a few chances. Particularly, they look quite good when they get the playmaker, Brown, on the ball. But unfortunately, they keep getting caught out on the break. So Coventry have had more chances on the break, and this is what keeps happening. It's like a bit of back and forth. But for sure, I'm really looking forward to the second half because I'm sure that something is going to change. So far, it's been 33 minutes played, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Thank you, Mook. Let's have a quick chat with Isaac Dilks, who's watching that game at the Bet365.
Yeah, Roberto De Zerbi would be quite worried here. Moises Caicedo stayed down after a hard challenge from Lewis Baker. He's earned himself a yellow for his trouble there. As I said, Stoke pressing so high and being so aggressive. It's quite insignificant little challenges as Caicedo just dwells on the ball for slightly too long, and then Baker's picking at his heels and just sort of scrapes down the back of his leg. But, Stoke would be really, really happy, obviously not with the yellow, but with the way they're forcing Brighton into these mistakes, making them dwell on the ball. And they'll be hoping for a quick turnover and then a nice fast shot on goal, as we've seen from Tyrese Campbell multiple times so far. Score's still the same. It's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion after 50 minutes.
Thank you, Isaac. Let's cross now back to Italy, where Jordan Okoli is watching the game between Juventus and Torino. So Juventus have equalised. I'm going to guess that they're starting to exert their dominance. Have I got that right?
Not quite, not quite. You would think so, but they haven't exerted their dominance just yet. I'm thinking that will come in the second half when hopefully Pogba comes on, or when Allegri can, speak to his players. But it's been a bit slow from Juventus. We would expect them to push on and try and get in front. In fact, it was Torino that were going to take the lead, with Ilic with a Pogba-esque pass into Buongiorno at the back post, and he just needed to square it into Sambria, but he got the pass all wrong. It was a great opportunity for Torino to take another surprise lead. Ilic with a great pass, but we're seeing, Torino grow back into this game. Not sure who's going to get the next goal, but you would think it would be Juventus. But as we approach half-time, Juventus 1, Torino 1.
Thank you, Jordan. Got to praise you on your Italian pronunciation. First-class stuff. Let's have a quick word with Jack, who's watching the game at Bristol City, where they're entertaining Man City in the FA Cup.
Yeah, Bristol City just got away with one there with Zach Viner launching into the midfield from centre half. He's easily dispossessed by Bernardo Silva, and it launches Manchester City into a 3-versus-2 counter-attack. Kevin De Bruyne has it on the left-hand side. All he has to do is square it to Mahrez for a tap-in. He opts to go for the shot himself, and it's saved by O'Leary. The rebound falls to Foden. Foden then gets it to Mahrez at the back post, and his shot is cleared off the line by Bristol City centre-half Thomas Callis. So, as I said, a let-off there for Bristol City. 24 minutes played. It's still Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, John. Jack, let's cross to Craven Cottage, where Fulham versus Leeds United is being watched by our man, Rich Bond.
Yes, well, it's still Fulham 1, Leeds United 0, 38 minutes gone. Things have settled down slightly. Fulham have got a bit more control of the game. As I said, Leeds were getting back into the game, getting quite on top of proceedings. Fulham had a good spell of possession, searching for an opening, looking for that second goal. Mitrovic wanted a penalty, felt a bit hard done by, nothing really going from the referee in that kind of case. But yeah, like I say, things have settled down. Both sides still going at it, and still going to be a bit lively this one. I feel there's plenty more action to come in this over the game. But at the moment, 30 minutes gone. Fulham 1, Leeds United 0.
Staying in the FA Cup, let's have a chat with Isaac Dilks, who's well into the second half in his game at the Bet365 Stadium between Stoke City and Brighton.
Yeah, these poor Brighton youngsters are really taking a kicking here from the Stoke players. They're being so aggressive, not shying away from any hard challenges, but they're holding their nerve currently. They're playing some really, really good stuff, and they're not being afraid to be direct, try and take players on and risk taking a hard challenge. But at the moment here, neither side really creating anything clear-cut in the last 10 or 15 minutes. And it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Thank you, Isaac. Let's cross back to Turin. Jordan, you said that Torino were starting to turn the screw on their illustrious hosts. Is that continuing to be the case?
Yes, that is definitely continuing to be the case. You asked me before, are Juve exerting their dominance? But it's actually Torino that's exerting their dominance as we approach half-time. They had another great opportunity. Ilic with another Pogba-esque pass into the box, a great crossfield ball into Sambria, and his header had to be fingertip saved by Szczesny. It was a really good header going into the far corner, but top save from Szczesny. We all know about Szczesny from the Premier League, and he stops Torino from going 2-1 in front. But as we approach half-time, it's all Torino, surprisingly. So it's almost half-time. Juventus 1, Torino 1.
Sounds like a great game there at the J Stadium in Italy. In fact, such a great game that we've had another goal there. Jordan, you were absolutely right. Torino's pressure has paid off, and Torino go 2-1 up against Juventus for a shock half-time score. We'll cross back to the J Stadium, the Allianz Stadium, for Jordan's reports on that goal as soon as we can. But let's just pop over to Deepdale. Let's go down into the Championship momentarily, where Muk Khalifa is watching that Championship game between Preston North End and Coventry City.
Well, Coventry City definitely feel like they should be ahead because they're the team that have definitely created the most chances, or at least the most clear-cut chances. Their talisman, who I've been trying to pronounce his name all day, Victor Gyökeres, has been really unhappy and just gesturing signs of frustration that he wants the ball played to his feet, but they keep looping it, will sit around him, and he doesn't seem very happy with his teammates at the minute. Preston have tried to push, and they seem like they seem a bit more confident, trying to work the ball a bit more than Coventry, who are just constantly trying to counter. So far, it's been 41 minutes played, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Thank you, Mook. Let's stay in the Championship where Pat Noiret is at Kenilworth Road watching a tasty match between Luton and Millwall.
Yeah, Luton are playing the game they want to play, which is stay on the ball, pass it and pass it. They made a nice little move. They got the ball to the right-hand side. They McNamara overlap, took a shot and long saved it, and they got a corner from that. So it seems to me that's the way to go. Don't play Millwall's game, play your game. Keep the ball and see if you can score that goal. But be aware of the long ball forward to Bradshaw and then Fleming running late. So it's 28 gone. It's Luton 0, Millwall 1.
Let's catch up at the Allianz Stadium where Jordan Okoli has seen a second goal for Torino against Juventus.
What a game we are having here. Torino have been putting the pressure on, and Ilic has been whipping in some great balls, and Juve should have been privy to this because they have not been closing Ilic down, and it was him that got the assist. Another great ball into the box, and Sambria with a great outside of the boot flick into the bottom corner. Nothing Szczesny could do about that. Great ball in from Ilic, and Sambria gets his 6th goal of the season. Torino with a surprise lead. I am sure we are going to see Pogba in the second half now. As we approach half time, it's Juventus 1, Torino 2.
Watching a great game there in Turin is Jordan Okoli for Football Live. Let's cross to the Bet365 Stadium where we're deep, or not deep, but we're well into the second half between Stoke City and Brighton. Our man there is Isaac Dilks.
Yeah, just short of the hour mark here now, Andrew, at the Bet365 Stadium. No big chances to report so far in this second half, but lots of good football being played by both sides. I must mention again, Tyrese Campbell, for those who don't know, son of former Premier League footballer Kevin Campbell. He's such a strong dribbler, such a strong player on the right wing for Stoke, and really their talisman tonight. He's been involved in everything good they've been doing going forward, and I can really see him hopefully getting a clear-cut chance and maybe levelling this game for Stoke. They'll be hoping. But at the moment, Brighton are playing well. Just not quite getting the rub of the green for their forwards in that front line. Lots of good passes being played by Jason Steele right from his own goal to the likes of Kaoru Matoma and Buonanotte and Evan Ferguson. But they can't quite get anything to fall to feet and get players played in behind. But promising signs for both sides. Hopefully we'll have something more clear-cut and of more quality to report on very, very soon. But at the moment it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1, just on the hour mark.
Jordan Okoli has got it all. Another goal at the Allianz Stadium. This time it goes to Juventus, who go in at half-time 2-2. They've managed to equalise at home to Torino and draw level in that match in Serie A. We will, of course, cross back to Jordan, who's seeing so much action in Serie A this evening, as soon as we can. But let's momentarily have a word with Jack Hesson, who's watching the Bristol City game versus Manchester City. Just one goal in your game so far. Do you think we might get more before this game is out?
Yeah, absolutely think we do, as Kevin De Bruyne just cuts inside there and skies it over the bar. He really should have squared it earlier on for Riyad Mahrez to make it 2-0. But nonetheless, Bristol City are still in this game, and there's space in behind. City are playing a 3-2-4-1 formation, so there's a lot of space, and also getting a lot of joy down that left-hand side with Sam Bell and Alex Scott in the middle is also looking lively. So this game is certainly not done yet. 32 minutes played. Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. Let's cross now back again to the Allianz Stadium in Turin for an update on that second Juve goal from Jordan Okoli.
Don't you love a derby? What a game we are having here at the Allianz Stadium. It's a corner kick from Di Maria, and Danilo gets his head on it, and it looks as if the goalkeeper Savic has saved it, but the referee checks his watch and it crossed the line. It looks as if the goalkeeper kept it out, but no, the header was too powerful from Danilo, and Juventus are back into this game. This is looking like a classic derby so far. Might be another goal before half time. But as we approach half-time, it's Juventus 2, Torino 2.
Very close to half-time, as Jordan says. It's been quite a day in Serie A. I remember that Cremonese, who were rock bottom, have now moved up a place after getting their first win of the season at home to Jose Mourinho's AS Roma. And with that Juventus 2, Torino 2 scoreline at half-time, we could be in for quite a shock. Let's cross over to, in fact, just 1 second. Let's pop back to Isaac, who's watching that game at the Bet365 Stadium in the FA Cup. It's Stoke City versus Brighton.
Yeah, enormous chance for Brighton to double their lead here. And just past the hour mark, and Jeremy Sarmiento will be wanting the ground to swallow him up. He won't get a better chance than this all season. Moises Caicedo with a great bit of footwork just on the edge of the Stoke City D, just on the edge of the 18-yard box. Goes around 2 or 3 players, plays a lovely little reverse pass into Sarmiento on his favoured left foot, and he can do nothing but wallop the ball straight down the throat of Jack Bonham, who puts together a couple of strong hands and forces it away and manages to gather. But yeah, Sarmiento, an absolutely golden opportunity to double Brighton's lead and possibly put this game to bed and put the game out of Stoke City's reach. But unfortunately for Brighton, it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Let's cross over to Craven Cottage. A chance for Leeds United, Rich Bond.
Oh, yes, and Leeds United is so unlucky in this first half, how they're not level. And it's the debutant Rutter. It's his second appearance for the side, and he hit the post from it was a lovely ball into the box. His header, you can see he's just got his neck around it, and it's just got looped over the keeper and just hit the inside the post. It's come back out. It's just really unlucky. Fulham hanging on, coming into half-time here, deep in stoppage time. Still Fulham 1, Leeds United 0.
It's half-time in the Championship game at Deepdale between Preston North End and Coventry City. Let's have a half-time wrap-up from Muk Khalifa.
Half-time here, and it's still 0-0. Preston were looking a little bit more alive towards the end of the game, and they particularly kind of had some joy attacking from the left-hand side with the silky skills of Fernandez. Apart from that, Coventry would definitely feel like the more frustrated side going into the second half. That being said, like I said, there's still a lot to play for here. 45 minutes gone, half-time, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Let's get a wrap-up of the first half action, and quite a first half you have seen at the Allianz Stadium, Jordan Okoli.
Yes, I'm thoroughly enjoying this one. It's half-time between Juventus and Torino. This has been an exciting game. We love a derby, and these two teams are definitely producing a classic derby match. Goals from Sambria and Carmona, and for Juventus, goals from Danilo and Cuadrado. The second half, we might see Paul Pogba, but we hope to see more action like we saw in the first half. We hope to see more goals. Great football. I wonder what the managers say. They can't be happy. I'm happy because I'm loving the attacking football, but I'm sure the managers are not happy with their defenses, but I'm enjoying it. Juventus 2, Torino 2.
You sound happy, Jordan. Let's cross over to Kenilworth Road. Let's see if Pat Noiret is just as happy in his game watching Luton Town versus Millwall.
Well, I'm happy I've seen a goal, Andrew, but obviously now Luton are trying to get back to this game. They're playing the same game they were playing before. I spoke to him about 10 minutes ago. They're moving the ball from side to side. They got the ball wide, and Adebayo took a shot and saved again by Long. So slowly they're getting in, but not very clear chances. But I still think they've got to be aware of the way Millwall are playing. They're leaving 2 men up top. Bradshaw in the front, they're hitting him early, and then all he's doing, holding onto the ball and trying to bring other players into it. So they've got to watch that. With 36 gone, still Luton 0, Millwall 1.
1-0 to Millwall in that game. Let's cross over to the King Power Stadium, where Matt Key is watching the FA Cup game between Leicester and Blackburn Rovers.
Yes, we've just started the second half here, 2 minutes in, and it's still Blackburn Rovers 1, Leicester City 0. One man that won't have been happy is Brendan Rodgers. His side were not very good at all in that first 45, and he'll be looking for a response. He'd have had strong words, no doubt, at half-time. There's plenty on the Leicester bench, but for the time being, it looks like Blackburn is still playing the better. Yet to see that Leicester City response. 3 minutes gone in the second half, and it's still Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 1.
Half-time at Craven Cottage. Let's have a word with Rich Bond, who's watching that FA Cup All Premier League tie between Fulham and Leeds United.
Yeah, it's half-time here at Craven Cottage, and it's Fulham 1, Leeds United 0 in a frantic, fast-paced first half of football. Fulham lead by a goal to nil against Leeds with João Palhinha's spectacular 25-yard strike. Difference between two sides who are both going at this frantic FA Cup tie. Very classic game that we've got here. Leeds, though, have had their fair share of play and have had the ball in the net twice through Gnotto and Somerville, only to be chalked off, both for offside. They had that chance just before half-time where Rutter hit the post, and luck's just really not quite going their way at the moment, but we're expecting much more frantic action in the second half. Plenty more nail-biting moments I'm expecting in this second half. This really good cup tie. Fulham 1, Leeds United 0, half-time.
Thank you, Rich. We're approaching about 20 minutes to go in that FA Cup game up at the Bet365 Stadium. Let's cross over to Isaac Dilks. Any more chances, Isaac?
A massive chance for Stoke City to get level in this game and then really force a really exciting last 20 minutes of this FA Cup tie. It's Dujon Sterling, the right back, who gets a free header at the back post after a brilliant whipped ball from the left-hand touchline after a free kick was given Stoke's way. Everyone in the box just froze as the ball looped across the goal and went just agonisingly wide of the left-hand post, and Dujon Sterling has his head in his hands as he retreated back to the halfway line for the goal kick. Amazing chance for Stoke. They're still putting together some great attacking moves when they can win the ball and force those fouls and get set pieces. But unfortunately for them, it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1 as we close in on the 70-minute mark.
Thank you, Isaac. Let's cross down into the Championship. Let's have a quick chat with Pat Noirette, who's seen a chance at Kenilworth Road.
Yeah, they're knocking at the door. They're knocking and knocking. They move the ball around to the left-hand side. The cross came in from the right-hand side. Adebayo was about inches away from getting the equaliser, but it couldn't get there. Slid in, couldn't get there, and the keeper got it. Yeah, knocking on the door with 39 gone. Luton 0, Millwall 1.
Let's cross over to Ashton Gate. Jack Kesson is watching that game for us on Football Live, that FA Cup match between Bristol City and Manchester City. Jack, what have you seen as we approach half-time in your match?
Yeah, well, 40 minutes played here. It's still Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1. And what I've kind of noticed is that the game is settling down a bit. Perhaps the reason for that is because when Manchester City push so many players forward, they're leaving the wing positions completely unmarked. So the odd occasion where Bristol City are able to actually win the ball back, they only ever seem a pass away from getting down that final third. As I mentioned previously, down that left-hand side with Sam Bell is causing a lot of problems. But whenever the ball cuts into the inside, there's just not much that they can do with it at the moment, and they need to start taking their chances and being more clinical with the possession that they get, because they're not getting a lot of it at the moment. 40 minutes played, it's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. Matt at the King Power Stadium watching Leicester City versus Blackburn. You mentioned that there was some booing for the Leicester team at half-time. Time is starting to run out for them to have an impact on this game.
Yes, and if I'm being honest, they should be out of this cup tie because Blackburn Rovers have just hit the post. It was Ryan Hedges that had the chance, and it was all Leicester's undoing again. That is something the fans won't be happy with. We've seen it all too many times, and Hedges capitalised but could only hit the outside of the post. Still 1-0 to Blackburn as it stands.
Thank you for that. In fact, just as we cut away from Matt Key, unbelievable. The second we step away from Matt, we have a goal in that game between Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers. We said that Leicester City have to try and do something to get back in the game. Well, they're right up against it because it's 2-0 to Blackburn Rovers, and the Foxes are in big trouble. Let's cross now to the King Power Stadium where Matt Key can update us on that goal. Matt, how was that?
Well, it is absolutely brilliant from Blackburn Rovers, but it's absolutely calamitous from Leicester City. It was all their own making again. Sam Gallagher, the big striker, won the ball back. Some great work from him. He passed to Sammy Schmodic, who managed to get through about 3 or 4 Leicester tackles. They simply were nowhere near strong enough. There was 2 or 3 of them there. He was pulled back. He still managed to get his shot away. He slotted it past Iverson into the bottom corner. He ran across to the corner where those Blackburn fans were absolutely delirious. It looks like they could be going to the FA Cup quarter-final. The Leicester fans They can't believe what they're seeing. It's stunned silence other than those happy Blackburn fans in the corner. It's Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Really turning into quite an ugly night for Leicester City. I don't even know if you could put this one down as a shock. Blackburn are doing okay in the Championship, but Leicester City, Premier League side, and as we said, FA Cup winners just a couple of years ago, really under the cosh. And I can imagine there's some fury and rage at the King Power Stadium right now. Let's cross over to a former Premier League stadium, the Bet365 stadium, where Isaac Dilks is watching an FA Cup game between Stoke City and Brighton. Brighton were a goal to the good. How's that shaping up in the second half?
Yeah, as you say, Andrew, Brighton still just the one goal ahead, but this game is really opening up now. It's getting quite exciting, really end-to-end stuff as both sets of players start to tire and the spaces open up in transition. A couple of changes from both sides, an attacking change from Stoke as Sam Clucas comes on for Dujon Sterling, who was playing right back. Sam Clucas, a midfielder, so presumably quite an attacking change there. Brighton also make a couple of tactical substitutions as Joel Veltman comes on to replace the winger Buonocore, and Dennis Undav comes on to replace Evan Ferguson, the goal scorer, whose goal currently separates the two sides. But just under 20 minutes to go here. Both sides still looking good going forward. Lots of positive intent. And as I say, spaces are opening up. So hopefully the chances will come flooding in very, very soon here at the Bet365. 70 minutes gone. Still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
At Ashton Gate, we had an early goal for Manchester City away to Bristol City in the FA Cup, and you kind of feared for Nigel Pearson's Bristol City team. But Jack Hesson, as we just creep towards half-time, it's still 1-0. And have Bristol City managed to stem the flow of Man City attacks?
Well, Manchester City certainly do seem like they're out of a bit of a flow that they were in at earlier stages of the game, but they did just have a great chance there from a corner played shot into the box, walked into the box to Ruben Dias. Ruben Dias takes a great touch and then volleys it towards the goal, and it's deflected off Cameron Pring. It was goalward had he not got the deflection in, so luckily for Bristol City, once again, they are still in this game, and we are almost at half-time, and you would expect into the second half that this is exactly what Bristol City would want, to keep it tight going into that second half. However, 45 minutes played, Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. Another game creeping up to half-time is in the Championship, where Pat Noiret is at Kenilworth Road enjoying Luton Town versus Millwall. Pat, how's the first half shaped up for you?
Well, the first 10 minutes, it was all 10-15 minutes, I would say, it was all Millwall. They got that early goal due for a really bad mistake from the goalkeeper. But after that, Luton sort of like got together, doing their passing game and playing the game they want to play. And they've had a few, they had chances, but not clear-cut chances. They just had a chance when there was a ball came across into the box again to Adebayo, and he just missed it. And you know, there's three people around him. He just swung at it, and it's just an air shot, basically. But they're all now doing better. They're getting in the final third much easier. And what Millwall are doing, they're just dropping back. They can't hit them on the break, but what they're doing, hitting that long ball where Bradshaw is very good in the air, and also he holds the ball well as well to allow the midfield to join him so they can create chances. But I think the way Luton are playing this game is the right game to play. Keep the ball. There's a lot of time to go. 46 gone. It's Luton 0, Millwall 1, with 1 minute extra time coming up.
Thank you, Pat. Let's have a word with Matt Key, who's watching that 2-0 scoreline for Blackburn Rovers away in the FA Cup to Leicester City. Matt, how have the Leicester fans and, more importantly, the Leicester City players responded to going 2-0 down?
Not at all, to be honest, Andrew. They've been, pathetic, quite frankly. Blackburn have just had another chance, which would have absolutely killed the game off. It was lovely play from Schmodics, the goal scorer of the second goal, and Hedges. Lovely 1-2 between the two of them in the box. Schmodics was in. He had a shot saved with his feet by Daniel Iverson, who has been Leicester's best player, quite frankly. That just shows how bad they've been. We're just about to approach the hour mark, 57 minutes gone, and it looks like Blackburn are going to be the only team that are going to score again. It's Leicester City 0, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Thank you. Big chance at the Bet365, Isaac Dilks.
Yes, Andrew, a massive chance for Kaoru Mitoma to double the lead once again and put this game to bed, surely, for Brighton. But unfortunately, Jack Bonham, take a bow, standing in goal, comes in for the cup-tied Sarkic, who's been filling in the Championship for Stoke mostly this season. It's a free kick flicked in by Brighton. The header's knocked back across the goal by Van Hecker, I think it is, to Mitoma, who looks set to knock it home and double that lead. But Jack Bonham, he scrambles across, finds himself in no man's land, but scrambles across back to the right-hand post and just flings a foot straight at the ball and manages to flick it onto the outside of the goal to give away a Brighton corner, of which nothing came from. Great signs for Brighton, but Jack Bonham has kept his side in it and given Stoke a slimmer of hope as they hope to try and find an equaliser as we push into the final quarter of an hour here. But still, Stoke City 0, Brighton Hove Albion 1.
Thank you, Isaac. Just a couple of updates around Europe. A couple of shocks. Well, one interesting score with from the Coupe de France in France. Of course, it's Lyon 2, Grenoble 0, and a shock. It's almost a result in the Dutch Cup. It's FC Utrecht 1, Spakenburg 4. Spakenburg from a couple of divisions down, and FC Utrecht, of course, from the Dutch top flight, looking as if they're getting a proper FA Cup spanking. Let's pop down into the Championship, have a word with Mook Khalifa, whose game at Deepdale has just kicked off for the second half.
Good evening again, Andrew. And yeah, it just looks like the game is just about to go underway right now. As I said earlier, I mean, there's been no changes in terms of substitutions, but Preston definitely did have that one clear-cut chance. Coventry will definitely feel like they're the team that are a bit more hard done by, but who knows? As I said, both sides have many good options on the bench, not to mention the man that we talked about earlier, of course, Sean Maguire, who, as we all know, played for Preston not too long ago. So, as I said, the game has just started right now, and 45 minutes played, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry 0.
Thank you. We're just waiting for the second half at Craven Cottage to kick off. Let's cross over to have a word with Rich. It's 1-0 for Fulham, and we had a quick chat in the first half, Rich, about Leeds United constantly attacking teams, and under Jesse Marsch just not quite getting that little piece of luck. Do you think they're going to look to change anything in the second half, or are we expecting to see more of the same from Gracia's men?
Well, I expect to see more of the same, to be honest. They've looked pretty good in this first half. They've given a good account of themselves. They're looking down the flanks, they're looking particularly dangerous. Somerville, his pace is lightning quick. He's causing problems for Robinson. And Ganonto on the other side as well. You know, he's a good player. We've seen him score a few in this period as well. So the guys up there, Rutter looks like he's a striker that needs a go. You know, he's a club record signing in front of the fans. They haven't really seen much from him, but they'll be expecting him to just produce that goal. He was £30-odd million, I believe. You know, in midfield, the three American guys they've got in there, in Rocker, Adams and McKennie, you know, it's a strong, powerful midfield lineup, and I think there's a lot of things that are good about this team, and they just need to kind of click together. And I think, you know, you look towards the end of the season, Leeds will be probably safe, I in my opinion. But in this game, I think there's a lot to come in this one, and it could go either way. We're expecting a really entertaining second half. But yeah, we're just getting back underway now. It's Fulham 1, Leeds United 0.
Thank you, Rich. Let's just have a quick recap of where we are in our featured games. FA Cup games, first of all, it's still Stoke 0, Brighton 1 at the Bet365. Leicester 0, Blackburn now 2 up. And it's Fulham 1, Leeds 0, as we've just heard. And Bristol City 0 at half-time. Man City 1 in the Championship. It's still Preston 0, Coventry 0, just a few minutes into the second half. And the other game is at half-time. It's Luton 0, Millwall 1. But the most exciting and interesting game of the evening has been in Italy, in Turin to be more precise, where Jordan Akoli has just seen the second half start. Jordan, has your desired change come about?
No, not yet. No Paul Pogba. Both lineups are unchanged for the second half. Paul Pogba has been out for a long time, so you might see him in the more later stages. Allegri might not want to rush him into what is shaping up to be a classic. The match is played at a very fast tempo. It might be a bit too much for Paul Pogba. I'm sure Allegri will be telling his side to step up the gears in this second half. They've had to come from behind twice in the first half, and they'll be hoping to take the lead with the next goal in this second half. Hopefully, we get exciting goals like we did in the first half. Second half was kicked off. Juventus 2, Torino 2.
Fingers crossed for you, Jordan. Let's cross over to Matt Key, who's watching that game between Leicester City and Blackburn, and an interesting change for Leicester.
Yes, no surprise that Brendan Rodgers has started to rotate. He looks absolutely fuming any time you catch a glimpse of him on the sideline. Dennis Pratt has gone off in midfield, and it's an attacking change with Kelechi Iheanacho coming on up front. I'm disappointed he wasn't starting, to be honest, Andrew, because I found this absolutely brilliant fact about Iheanacho, which is that since his FA Cup debut in 2016, no player has scored more goals in the FA Cup than Kelechi Iheanacho's 17. Glimmer of hope for Leicester City, maybe, but at the minute they still trail 2-0 to Blackburn Rovers.
Thank you, Matt. Let's cross over to the Bet365 stadium, where both teams, Isaac Dilker, are making changes to try and get this tie won.
Yeah, both sides still pushing here. Andrew, Brighton looking to double their lead and really kill this game off, and obviously Stoke looking for an equaliser and maybe potentially a winner if they can do so. Both sides still looking really, really forward thinking, really being positive, trying to get those goals, and we've got a couple of changes. Most notably for Stoke, Tyrese Campbell comes off, who's been their talisman this evening. And if I were Alex Neil, I'd have been leaving him on the pitch as long as I could, because he's looked their most dangerous attacking outlet all night. And as for Brighton, a couple of changes. Danny Welbeck, formerly of Arsenal and Manchester United, comes on for Jeremy Sarmiento, someone who, although probably hasn't got the goal return he'd been looking for the last couple of seasons, has been instrumental for Brighton's success, I think we can all say. So, yeah, still anyone's game here. Although Brighton do have that one goal advantage, it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1 with 8 minutes left in regular time.
Thank you, Isaac. Let's cross into the Championship. We'll have an update from Mook Khalifa on his game at Deepdale. He's watching Preston North End versus Coventry City.
Hiya there. And it's still pretty much the same. I mean, Coventry City have made a change, and they've taken off Fawcett Allen and brought on Wilson Esbrand. To be fair, the only difference that I have really seen in the second half is Preston do look somewhat livelier, and they look like they're really kind of going for this. Coventry City seem to be a bit edgy, as though as though the whole momentum's kind of got to them a little bit, but they're both teams are still kind of going for it. And apart from that change, nothing else. So 51 minutes played, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Chance at Craven Cottage, watching Fulham versus Leeds, is Rich Bond.
Yes, and it was a big one for Leeds as well. And Rutter's starting to feel his way back into this game, I think. And he picked the ball up about 25 yards out, started driving towards the Fulham defence, and he's played in Gnonto on the left-hand side. He's just taken a touch, and he's just fired in a really powerful low effort on his left foot, and he's saved splendidly by J-DAC, the Slovakian. And I've been quite impressed with him in the Fulham goal today, to be honest. He's made 2 good saves so far. Could that be a crucial one? It's Fulham 1, Leeds 0, 50 minutes gone here.
Over to Italy again. Jordan, you were hoping for a continuation of that flurry of goals that you had in the first half between Torino and Juventus and Torino. But just before we go over to you, Jordan, we have news of this beauty. Forgive me, there has been a goal in the game at the King Power Stadium between Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers. It's gone to Leicester to set up a fascinating finale there. Let's cross straight over to Matt Key, who's at the King Power Stadium.
Yes, and maybe a twist in this one, Andrew. And guess who it is? It's the man I've just mentioned, Kelechi Iheanacho. Make that 18 goals since his FA Cup debut in 2016. And it's come again completely against the run of play. It was Harvey Barnes down the left-hand side. First time he's been involved at all, really. Went down the left-hand side, got into the box, cut it back. There was Iheanacho. Right place, right time. He couldn't miss. Maybe that has just changed the game. It looked for all money that Blackburn were going to go through, but with 20 minutes left, it's going to be a bit nervy now. Leicester are back in it. Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Well, Leicester seem dead and buried, but the Nigerian has turned things round, possibly giving Leicester a chance at getting back on level terms and maybe even getting something for the tie. We left Jordan Akoli hanging in Turin. Over to you again, Jordan. What progress have you seen in the second half?
Yes, I was hoping for a continuation from what we saw in the first half, and we almost had it. It was a ball over the top from Alexandro into Vlahovic. He flicked it on nicely to Fagioli, and then he played it back into Vlahovic, and he was one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and you would put your house on Vlahovic to score this. This is usually bread and butter for Vlahovic, but he hit the crossbar. He had the goalkeeper beaten, but not in the back of the net. He hits the crossbar. Could have been his 9th goal of the season in the Serie A, but Vlahovic hits the crossbar. Juventus 2, Torino 2.
Thank you, Jordan. Fingers crossed for more goals for you in that second half. Let's cross over to Deepdale in the Championship, where Mukh Khalifa is watching Preston take on Coventry City.
Hey Andrew, as we said earlier, Preston are looking like the more comfortable team, and they've really, particularly Fernandez, who on the left hand side for Preston, looked quite impressive. He's constantly just has that ability to just skip past players as though they're not even there. He skips past 2 or 3 players on that left hand side, whipped in a lovely ball, and just a near miss from Brown. So Preston are the other team that are creating chances. Coventry seem, as I said, frustrated. They're shouting and arguing amongst each other, and they can't seem to get their talisman Gyökeres on the ball at all. 55 minutes played, still a lot to go. Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Isaac Dilks at the Bet365 Stadium. You're just coming to the final exchanges of that game. How are things looking for Stoke? Any chance of them getting back into the game?
There's good signs for Stoke. Very, very good signs. They're really pressing high, really trying to pin Brighton in, and they've had a couple of really good chances, but no quite shots on target. Just balls that couldn't quite fall to feet, but have been played excellently, very, very well into the penalty box, and really trying to create good quality chances. But I must say, I've been really impressed with one man in the Brighton defence tonight, Van Heck. I think he only has a handful of starts for Brighton, but I think they've got themselves another gem on their hands. He's big, he's strong, he reads the game very, very well. And, to Robert De Zerbi's delight, he's a very, very good passer. So with a little under 2 minutes left in regular time, Stoke are going to have to get past that man if they're going to try and get anything out of this game and maybe force a replay. But 88 minutes gone, still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Thank you, Isaac. More excitement at the King Power Stadium. Matt Key.
Yes, what a final 20 minutes we are in for here. Leicester City, they look a completely different team since that goal. They're now the ones pushing, trying to get the equaliser. But it's on the counter-attack that Blackburn Rovers pounce and almost get themselves a third. It was Schmodics, again, who ran through and finished underneath Iverson. But he'd just gone too early. It was close. It was a nervous wait, but it was offside. Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2.
We do have a second goal, and it's a goal at the game at Craven Cottage, where it is now Fulham 2, Leeds United 0. Things going from bad to worse for Leeds United. That man again, Manos Solomon, scores for his 4th successive game. He's turning into be quite the superstar for Fulham. We will, of course, cross over to Rich Bond as soon as possible, but just before we cross over to the game at Craven Cottage, let's have a quick word with Isaac Dilks in the final seconds of his game at the Bet365 Stadium. It's still Brighton and Hove Albion one up against Stoke City. But are Brighton in control, and do they look like they're going to see out this game, or are we in for a late twist?
They're not quite in control. They look quite panicked. We've just got 4 minutes of added time here. If we just push into the 91st minute, and Dennis Undav has just rugby tackled Jack Bonham from a Brighton corner. Bonham comes out and claims really strongly and looks to get the game underway very quickly, as you might think, with a long ball. And Undav sort of karate kicks him in the back, grabs him, and earns a yellow card for his trouble. Some quality time wasting there from the Brighton forward. But no, Brighton don't look very solid, and this game is going back and forth like a basketball game at the moment. It's still anyone's. Stoke have still got a really good chance of maybe finding an equaliser in the dying moments here. But still, Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1 in the 91st minute.
Thank you, Isaac. Just a reminder, you can get in touch with Barry Swain on the socials at FootBL Live. FootBL Show. And we've had a tweet in from Joe Harrod 56. Great show, guys. Loving the cup coverage in my car on the way home from work in the rain. Well, I'm glad you're nice and dry. We're all nice and dry where we are. And let's cross over to Pat Noweret, who's at Kenilworth Road. He's watching the championship match between Luton Town and Millwall.
Yeah, we just kicked off now, and we're doing Luton are doing the same thing, actually, trying to hold on to the ball, see if they can get that goal. No change, no substitution, as you were, and Luton back in possession, trying to get into the final third and see if they can get that goal to equalise. And I suppose for Millwall, they do the same thing they did after they scored the goal, just waiting to pounce on that mistake from if Luton do make a mistake. Right, with 47 gone, still Luton 0, Millwall 1.
Let's catch up with Rich Bond at Craven Cottage, who's got news on that second goal for Fulham against Leeds.
Yes, it was a brilliant goal as well. Fulham showing that little bit of extra quality in this match. As Leeds, I think that's the difference between the two sides. It's Solomon who's got the goal, and he played an absolutely lovely give and go with Mitrovic, who just held the ball up brilliantly, playing him through, but his finish was spectacular. He's just bent it round from the edge of the penalty area, right-footed. It's just curled right round past Mezze, had absolutely no chance. It's Fulham 2, Leeds United 0. Yeah, long way back for Leeds now, you feel, but still half an hour to play, so anything could happen here on Football Live.
Yeah, plenty of time for Leeds to turn that round, if indeed they can. Let's cross to the King Power Stadium, where Matt Key is watching a resurgent Leicester City at home in the FA Cup to Blackburn Rovers.
Yes, and what a cup tie this has turned into now, Andrew, with that Leicester goal from Kelechi Iheanacho. They've brought more changes on. The last one was so good that Brendan Rodgers has gone to his bench again. Castagna, Christensen and Zambian striker Patson Daka are now on for the home side as they push even more for that equaliser. They just look a completely different team to the one that we saw in the first hour of this game. But you wouldn't say Blackburn are holding on. They're not resting on their laurels. And while they are a bit rattled from this Leicester response, they're still offering plenty on the counter-attack. I doubt we've seen the end of the goal action in this one. 15 minutes to go, and it's Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Late drama at the Bet365 Stadium. Isaac Dilks.
Well, Brighton should be 2-0 up. Danny Welbeck missed a gilt-edged chance to kill this game, put this tie to bed and send Brighton through to the next round of the FA Cup. It's a 4-on-2 for Brighton as the ball's pinged around on the halfway line. It drops to Dennis Undav, who brings it forward. He slides it in to Danny Welbeck, who jinks inside past a despairing defender and then curls it really nicely. Great strike just onto the outside of the post as Jack Bonham can only watch. But we're very, very close to the final whistle here, but Stoke still pressing. Anything could happen in these last few seconds as they lump the ball forward. But 93 minutes gone, and it's still Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.
Nearly done and dusted there at the Bet365 Stadium. Let's cross over to Ashton Gates, where Jack Hesson has just seen the second half kick off between Bristol City and Manchester City.
Yeah, second half underway and changes for both sides. It looked in the first half that Stefan Ortega had sustained a hand injury, and they obviously must have looked at that at half-time as Ederson comes on. And similarly for Bristol City, it looks like they are going to go for it. They've taken off the right-back George Tranner for Andreas Weimann, who Manchester City fans may remember 10 years ago this coming September. He scored the winner in a 3-2 win for Aston Villa over Manchester City. Can he work his magic from 10 years ago? And as you're talking to me there, this could potentially get interesting. Ederson, as I mentioned, has came on, but he collided with Sam Bell, was down for a bit, limping. Could that potentially cause any further problems? It'll be interesting to see what happens if it flares up anymore and he's unable to continue the game, but he's still in goals at the moment. Manchester City on the ball, 50 minutes played, Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. Let's cross over to the game at Kenilworth Road in the Championship. Chance for Pat Noiret.
Yeah, they're getting closer and closer. Luton just had a corner on the right-hand side, which is obviously Millwall left-hand side. Corner was played in, headed out, and then we had pinballing right in the box. The ball was going backwards and forward. And then Adebayo took a shot which just went wide. They're knocking at the door. Can they get that goal? It's 50 gone. Luton 0, Millwall 1.
Full time at the Bet365 Stadium. Did we have a late shock, Isaac?
Well, unfortunately for Alex Neil and Stoke fans out there, no, we do not. It's finished. Stoke City 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1 here at the Bet365 Stadium. Just the one goal. Evan Ferguson showing Brighton's quality from a brilliant move just inside the first half. Just that little bit of quality was the difference. But, good positive signs for Stoke and Alex Neil. They don't look like a side, they didn't tonight, who are languishing in 17th in the Championship. So lots of positives to take into the rest of their season. And Brighton, not with the most well-managed performance, but the win nonetheless. And they head into the next round of the FA Cup. So, yeah, as I say, it finished 1-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion at the Bet365 Stadium tonight.
We've got another goal in the Championship. The game at Kenilworth Road was Luton 0, Millwall 1. A second goal for Luton puts Millwall 2-0 up in quite a surprise result. Luton very, very strong at home, but Tom Bradshaw has scored the second goal for Millwall to increase their chances of securing one of those precious playoff spots. We'll cross over to Pat. Let's cross over to Pat right now. In fact, Pat, just talk us through that second goal for Millwall.
To be honest, it was against a round of play. Luton were attacking. They lost the ball in the midfield. The ball was played wide, and it was bouncing around the box again. And it was played wide again. And then a cross came in from the right-hand side, and Bradshaw was there where he needs to be. Put it in the back of the net. I would say game over. We've got lots of time left. I would say it's still Luton 0, Millwall 2.
Thank you, Pat. Let's cross over to Italy, where Jordan Okoli has had his wishing beads out for the whole evening to see Paul Pogba come on for Juventus. But just before we cross over to Italy, you won't believe this. Back in the FA Cup at Craven Cottage, it's now Fulham 3, Leeds United 0. In fact, I'm hearing it's still Fulham 2, Leeds United 0, because that goal has been disallowed. We thought that the only Premier League tie of the evening was going to see a crushing defeat for Leeds United, but that has turned around. The referee has decided that won't be a goal for Fulham, and we stay, in fact, at 2-0 for the Cottagers. Let's now finally cross over to Jordan. Jordan, have your prayers been answered?
It looks like they might have been answered. Paul Pogba has stripped off and looks ready to come on. Not too sure who he'll be coming on for just yet. He's not on the pitch, but he has stripped off. Looks ready to go. It's been a long time since we've seen Paul Pogba kick a ball. A long time. Be interesting to see how he does. It's been all Juve in this second half, but in the final third, they have just been lacking. It'll be interesting to see if Paul Pogba can turn the screw and get Juve in front in this game. I'll keep you updated with everything Juve and everything Paul Pogba as we continue in this match. Juventus 2, Torino 2.
Thank you. In League One, it's Derby 2, Cheltenham 0. Derby going great guns in League One. Let's cross now back to the game at the King Power Stadium in the FA Cup. And Leicester getting back in this cup tie, Matt Key.
Yes, the kitchen sink is being thrown in this one. We've just got under 10 minutes left now. It's still Leicester 1, Blackburn 2, but it's a big chance for the home side once again. It was Harvey Barnes who's really come alive in this game since the introduction of Iheanacho, I'd say, who held the ball up really well, found the young English winger. He took on his man Callum Britton, who's just come on the pitch, went past him, left-footed shot just wide, had the goalkeeper Ainsley Pearce run slightly worried in the Blackburn goal, but it was wide. 10 minutes, just under 10 minutes to go here. It's Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Rich Bond at Craven Cottage watching Fulham versus Leeds United. I was all excited. I thought Fulham had gone 3-0 up, but tell us about that disallowed goal, Rich.
Yeah, I'm sure all Fulham fans would have been very excited seeing the third goal go up, but it was just a marginally offside. It was Mitrovic. It was a nice, lovely little delivery from the right-hand side. I think it was one of the fullbacks who just pushed up and he crossed the ball in, whipped in. Mitrovic has just done a lovely little flick header, has come in, placed it right into the bottom corner. Beautiful finish, but the linesman's flag straight up. So, unfortunately for Fulham fans, it's still 2-0 at the moment, but Leeds still just about hanging on in this game. We have 25 minutes to go here. They brought on Patrick Bamford and they've also brought on Jack Harrison. So they've tried to make some changes, Graciera. So yeah, Fulham 2, Leeds United 0 with 25 minutes to go.
Changes for Leeds at Craven Cottage. One thing we wish would change is the luck of our new reporter, Muk Khalifa. He's got the only game that's 0-0. And let's cross over to Deepdale, where he's watching Preston North End versus Coventry City.
I'll tell you one thing, Andrew. I mean, there haven't been any kitchen sinks thrown in this match quite yet, but it's still relatively. There's still plenty of time to play. Preston North End have continued to pile on the pressure, and they've had chances from all three, Potts, Johnson, and Cannon, respectively. Coventry have been forced into making a couple of changes. Probably some of them are tactical, but yeah, as Callum Doyle came off for Michael Rhodes and Gordon came off for Walker. So they're just trying to absorb some of this pressure. But fingers crossed, there's still 20 minutes to play here. It's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Let's cross over to that game at Ashton Gate, where Jack Hesson is watching Bristol City versus Manchester City. Let's, in fact, just before we cross over for an update there, Pat Noiret has his third goal of the evening. And in fact, you won't believe this either. Jordan Okoli has got his fifth goal of the evening. Let's just back up. It's now Luton 1, Millwall 2 in the Championship. And Juventus, well, they have turned it around. They are now 3-2 up at home in Serie A to Torino. We will cross over to both our reporters as soon as we can. But we were just about to pop over to have a chat with Jack at Ashton Gate to see how Ederson was getting on for Man City away to Bristol City.
Well, to be honest with you, it's difficult to tell because the ball has been absolutely nowhere near him for the past 15 minutes or so. It's been all Manchester City. They're getting half chances, which Bristol City are defending well. Balls across the box, which they're dealing with fairly comfortably. But it is all Manchester City, and you're just waiting for that next big chance they're going to get to try and make it 2-0. At the moment, however, 57 minutes played, it's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Let's cross to Kenilworth Road in the Championship, where we can get an update on that Luton Town goal from Pat Noiret.
Yeah, they've been knocking out the door. We know they're 2-0 down. They worked it again to the left-hand side, and then the ball was knocked in for the far side. The right back came in and shot, and the keeper parted out, and guess who was there? Adi Bauer was there to put it away. So we got a game now on. It's 58 gone. Luton 1, Millwall 2.
Game on, as you say, Pat, at Kenilworth Road. Jordan Okoli is watching the game at the Allianz Stadium in Serie A between Juventus and Torino. Jordan, 2 dreams have come true for you.
Yes, 2 dreams indeed. Paul Pogba has come on, and it must be the energy of Paul Pogba and Chiesa coming on that's just lifted the fans and lifted the Juve players, because they've scored immediately after the 2 substitutes have come on, and one of the substitutes was involved in the goal. It wasn't Paul Pogba, but it was Chiesa. It was a corner kick taken from Fagioli, and he played a short one into Chiesa. Chiesa whipped in a great ball for Bremer, the centre-back, and it was a powerful header into the corner. Nothing Savic could do about it. Juve back on top. They lead Torino for the first time in this match. Juventus 3, Torino 2.
Well, Juventus were a goal down. They were 2-1 down as well in the FA Cup at the King Power Stadium. Leicester City were 2 goals down. They've pulled it back to 2-1. But Matt Key, any signs of them getting back on level terms?
Yes, but time is running out. It's Kelechi Iheanacho once again that's just gone closest for Leicester City. He picked the ball up around the edge of the box. He drove at the Blackburn defence. He hit a fizzing shot. It was just wide. It had Ainsley Pearce in the Blackburn goal scrambling. He was at full length to try and save it. Couldn't get near it, but it was just the wrong side of the poach from Iheanacho. He's been so good since he's come on. I told you, he's missed the FA Cup. He'd have been fuming that Brendan Rodgers left him out tonight, and he certainly tried to make his point known that he should have started this game. Leicester have got 2 minutes plus a bit of added time, of which there will be due to some injuries and substitutes and what have you. Can they force an equaliser? We will have to see. Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Thank you, Matt. Iheanacho definitely doesn't want his FA Cup journey to end in the 5th round, doing everything he can to get Leicester City back on terms. Let's cross over to Ashton Gate, where Bristol City seem to be putting up a decent fight against much fancied Manchester City, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, there's still much in this game at the moment. There was a great opportunity there from Kevin De Bruyne at a free kick just outside the box, around about 18 yards. It hits off the wall. Outside of that, Manchester City, as I mentioned earlier, they just have all of the ball at the moment. There is still holes in that Manchester City defence for Bristol City to try and get in behind. But first things first, they need to try and get the ball back. 60 minutes played, it's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. Let's stay in the FA Cup, Let's pop over to Craven Cottage in London, where Rich Bond is watching that game between Fulham and Leeds.
Yes, well, it's still Fulham 2, Leeds United 0. Here we got 72 minutes on the clock. Nothing really chance-wise to note, but both sides are really still having a good go. Either side still end-to-end things. A couple of substitutions to note, really. Mitrovic has seen the end of his night not having his goal. I've seen it chalked off. Carlos Vinicius came on for him. Brennan Aronson comes on to add a bit more energy in midfield because it's been so fast-paced for his fellow American rocker for Leeds. Leeds are trying. They really are trying to get back into this run, but you feel that second goal really did sort of knock the stuff in at Leeds when their sails were back on track. But it's 17 minutes to go here. Fulham 2, Leeds United 0.
Thank you, Rich. Let's drop down into the Championship, where at Deepdale, Muk Khalifa hasn't seen any goals, but he is seeing some chances.
Still no goals, but plenty of chances here. And Coventry have really started pressing more, and they're trying to use all the bodies in that midfield to try and absorb some of that pressure. So sadly, it hasn't always worked for them. But luckily for them, McFadden has been at the heart of the defence for Coventry, really organising the back line. A corner was whipped in, and an absolute insane bicycle kick from the Senegalese Diaby that just went just over the bar. That's probably been one of the more livelier chances, but something is definitely going to happen in this game. 75 minutes played. It's Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Let's have a quick update from the other game in the Championship at Kenilworth Road from Pat Loiret.
Yeah, it looks to me that Luton has gone free at the back now, so that's why they're pushing their right backs and left back forward to create overload down the sides, and they are getting in, but be aware of the counter attack because it could happen any time. But they're pushing and pushing. So with 63 gone, it's still Luton 1, Millwall 2.
Thank you, Pat. Let's cross over to the King Power Stadium. Injury time in the FA Cup game between Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers. Matt Key, what was the Leicester fans' reaction when the fourth official held up 6 minutes of added time?
Well, there was a big roar, Andrew. They felt that it was plenty of time for their side to get that decisive equaliser that would send them into an extra half an hour of football, which I'm not going to lie, I would not be complaining about. It's been absolutely fantastic. Mendy was the latest to go close for Leicester City. He hit a shot which was cleared out from a corner. What a strike. He caught it so sweetly. It just went over once again. Brendan Rodgers had his hands in the air. He thought it was in. but it was just over. We've played 2 of the 6 minutes. Leicester fans maybe starting to lose a bit of hope. They've got 4 minutes to save their FA Cup campaign. Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Well, with a bit of time and Mr. FA Cup still on the pitch, anything could happen there at the King Power Stadium. Let's cross over to Ashton Gates, where Jack Hesson is watching that cup tie between Bristol City and Manchester City.
Yeah, Bristol City look like they're finally exploiting that space out wide again, as they did in the first half. The ball out to Andreas Weimann. Weimann plays the ball in. Naki Wells is in the middle. It looks destined to go to him, but Akanji is quick to react and manages to stop it going to Wells, who would have had a tap in indeed. And Manchester City, as I mentioned, there is defensive cracks in there, and there might be some urgency to try and get that second goal. However, 64 minutes played, it's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1.
Thank you, Jack. Here at Football Live, we do this every weekend, every Saturday and every Sunday. Our next show is coming up on Saturday, and here for your listening pleasure is a quick preview.
Football Live returns to Brilla FM this Saturday afternoon. You can listen on FM radio in Nigeria, but anywhere in the world you can listen on Brilla.net online or on the Brilla app, which is available on iOS and Android. If not, you can wait until the show is finished, and after 6 p.m. on Saturday evening, you can listen back to the show right here on the YouTube channel. So, what's coming up on Saturday afternoon show? Let's take a sneaky peek. Arsenal have their eyes on another 3 points in their quest for the title. They take on relegation-threatened Bournemouth at the Emirates Stadium. A win, a must for Mikel Arteta's side. A win is a must for Graham Potter. That is, of course, if he's still in a job by the weekend. Chelsea take on Leeds United at Stamford Bridge, desperate to find the back of the net. They're going for a real goal drought at the moment, Chelsea. Leeds United desperate for points, of course. Tottenham Hotspur can cement their place in the top 4. They go to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Also in the Midlands, Aston Villa against Crystal Palace, and down on the south coast, West Ham have a terrible record against Brighton and Hove Albion. David Moyes and his team will be looking to try and correct that when they go to the Amex on Saturday afternoon. We'll also delve into the Bundesliga, where Mainz against Hoffenheim is our featured match, and in Italy our featured match is Monza against Empoli. That's all coming up this Saturday afternoon on Brilla FM exclusively, but don't forget you can listen back here on the Football Live YouTube channel from Saturday evening. We very much look forward to your company then, right here on Football Live.
A fourth goal for Juventus. They have really turned that game around, and Jordan Okoli will tell us exactly what has happened at the Allianz Stadium in a moment. But first of all, late drama at the King Power Stadium, Matt Key.
Yes, it was so close to the equaliser. It was the post that's denied Leicester City this time. It was Daniel Amate from a corner. He rose highest. He's trying to make up for his error in the first half that led to Blackburn's opener. He gets a great connection with his head, and it hits the post with Pez trying to scramble across. He was nowhere near it. He just watched it hit the post and go wide. We've got a minute left. Blackburn trying to keep it in the corner now. Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2.
Still seconds to go there, but let's cross over to Jordan Okoli, who I believe is he's seen the fourth goal go in for Juventus, but we believe that there is a VAR check. Let's just hold on for the time being. Let's not go over to Jordan just yet. Let's wait for the result of that VAR check. Let's instead cross over to Muk Khalifa, who has seen another chance for Preston against Coventry City.
That is absolutely correct. Another chance has fallen to Preston North End, and it fallen to the substitute who's just come on, Delap. A chance in which it's just simply kind of created from all the pressure. I mean, Preston have made 2 substitutions, both like for like, both strikers. They're completely kind of going for this, and it fell to him. For me, it's probably the best, the most clear-cut chance of the game. It fell to him from the left-hand side. Fernandez jinking around, gets the ball in. It bobbles around. It falls right into Delap, who's just come in, and he's just knocked it. Wide? Unfortunately. Still, there is 9 minutes to play, and I get the feeling that there's definitely a goal in this game. I'm hoping that there's a goal in this game, and it's 81 minutes played. Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
Look, we are all hoping that you get a goal in that game. We're not going to cross over to Jordan for clarification of that VAR call. We haven't got the decision yet, but it's full time at the King Power Stadium. How did it finish in your match, Matt Key?
Well, despite a late Leicester City onslaught, it is Blackburn Rovers, the championship side, that are through to the FA Cup quarter-finals, and you would have to say it was fully deserved. For the first 65 minutes of the game, they were far the better team. They were 2-0 up. It could have been 3, 4 or 5. Leicester City grabbed one back, Iheanacho with the goal off the bench, and it looked like at that point Leicester it would be only a matter of time before they got that equaliser. But you've got to give Blackburn credit. They defended brilliantly. Their commitment was superb throughout, and they are through. Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2, full time at the King Power Stadium.
Thank you, Matt. We have a VAR decision at the Allianz Stadium in the Turin derby between Juventus and Torino. Jordan Okoli, what was the call?
And the call was given as a goal. And it was a free kick. Paul Pogba won the free kick. And Kostic whipped it in. And at the back post was Rabiot. Rabiot put that one in the back of the net. It was a very long check. There was a possible offside because it looked as if it had touched a few defenders on his way through, a few attackers on the way through as Kostic whipped it in. It was a great ball from Kostic, and Rabiot tapped it in at the far post. And this match might just be over, but what a thriller it has been. 6 goals in the Turin derby. What a game. Juventus 4, Torino 2.
You have got a great game on your hands there. Let's cross over to the FA Cup game still in progress at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Leeds United. Rich Bond, some excitement from Leeds.
Yeah, Leeds have gone for the juggler now, and they've really going at it. And Fulham holding on really to this 2-0 lead. As such, Brendan Aronson, he's pulled a volley just wide the post after Leeds were baying for a penalty. And then Weston McKennie beat Rodek, only to see Tim Ream to clear his shot away. And then minutes after, Leeds came so close, agonisingly close. A bit of a bobble, bit of a scramble going on in the box. Couldn't see who was on the end of it, but all you could see was the ball just dribbling wide of the post. Agonising stuff for Leeds fans tonight, I think. Fulham still 2-0 up here, 7 minutes to go.
Huge chance in the FA Cup at Ashton Gate for Bristol City, Jack Hesson.
Yeah, that was a chance for Bristol City to equalise. It all comes from Ruben Dias trying to see the ball out under pressure from Alex Scott. He accidentally keeps it in. The loose ball falls to Vyman. He's quick to react. Whips in a lovely ball into the box, straight to the head of Sam Bell, right in the middle of the box. All he has to do is try and hit the target, and he hits it wide. Could that be the chance for Bristol City? Are they going to have one later on? They're definitely looking like they are in the ascendancy here. It's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 1, 71 minutes played.
Yeah, they need to take chances as and when they come. You can't imagine, Jack, that they would get too many, but let's see how this game pans out. Let's pop over to Kenilworth Road. That match between Luton Town and Millwall, both fighting for playoff positions in the Championship. Any updates from you in your match, Pat Noiret?
72 gone now. What Luton's done, they made a few changes. Obviously, they're trying to go for it. I think it's basically, let's go for it. If they lose 3-1, they lose 3-1. Trying to get back into the game. They made 3 subs. So with 53 gone, 73 gone, it's still Luton 1, Millwall 2, with Luton trying to get back into it.
In League One, it's Portsmouth 3, Bolton Wanderers 1, but the game at Deepdale is drawing to a close, and Mulk Khalifa, fingers crossed again for some action and a goal for you.
I assure you that my fingers are still crossed. And there's been 2 chances from Coventry City. First of all, Hamir with a free kick that bounced off. Basically, they had got the ball had touched, had made contact with the referee, and the referee had given them a free kick, which then, of course, Hamir took and straight at Woodman. Also, there's been a substitution for Preston as the young former Liverpool player Ben Woodburn has just come on for Brown. Though the big chance right now that fell to Coventry, they actually looked like they were working the ball for the first time in this half. They worked the ball. It fell to the talisman. Gosh, I can't pronounce his name. and then it's just very unfortunately just been agonisingly wide for them. And so it still remains 86 minutes played. Preston North End 0, Coventry City 0.
What a cruel game football can be. We almost had an equaliser for Bristol City in the FA Cup game at Ashton Gate. That didn't come about, but Manchester City have scored. They've gone 2-0 up, and we said that Bristol City would have to take their chances. Over to Jack Hesson, who saw that goal at Ashton Gate. Cruel, cruel, cruel time for Bristol City.
Yeah, Phil Foden seals the deal for Manchester City, who have taken their chances this evening. It all falls to Kevin De Bruyne in the middle of the park. He stops the ball dead in his feet, looks for the run of Nathan Ake into the box. Ake plays it quickly to Alvarez, who spots Foden on the right-hand side with a bit of space. Foden takes the ball and doesn't even think about it, just hits it first time. Takes a little deflection that might have taken it goalwards. Cruel for Bristol City, but no more than Manchester City deserve for taking their chances. And it's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 2.
Cruel, cruel times for Bristol City fans indeed. Let's stay in the FA Cup. We'll cross over to Craven Cottage, where Rich Bond is watching Fulham versus Leeds. And Leeds still having a go, Rich.
Yeah, we just had a great chance. Literally just happened now. And Somerville really he found himself free on the right-hand side. He's had a shot. Keeper's come out and he's just saved it beautifully, Rodek. It was a great game today. Ball's half cleared by the defence. It's come out to one of the American midfielders, and he's just slashed. I think it was Tyler Adams, and he slashed a shot from just outside the area. It's just flown wider than the near post of the left-hand side. Very close for Leeds, but it's been the story of their night. We've got 3 minutes to go here. Fulham 2, Leeds United 0.
Yes, another tale of nearly but not quite for Leeds United. Just lacking a little bit of quality up front. I do like the look of Nonto, the Italian striker, however. And speaking of Italy, let's cross over to the dying seconds at the Allianz Stadium, where Jordan Okoli has been watching the game of the night between Juventus and Torino.
What a game it has been. It's starting to quieten down a bit. As you can imagine, Juventus are parking the bus, just trying to see out this game. They have the 4-2 lead. There's been 6 goals in this game from great goals. And Torino are trying to give it their all in these final stages of the match. However, it does look like Juventus will win this Turin derby and take the 3 points. As we approach the 90th minute, it's Juventus 4, Torino 2.
In the Championship, Millwall are 2-1 up away at Luton Town. Let's cross over to Kenilworth Road now and have a chat with Pat. Pat, some changes for Millwall. Are they still going all out to secure the 3 points, or are they trying to
No,
sit back
with 77 gone now, what they're doing now is, sorry, talking over you. 77's gone now. What they're doing is shut up shop. They've just taken the goal scorer Bradshaw off to bring on Shackleton. Shackleton's a man who plays in the middle of the park. 6 foot tall, will win everything in there. So I think what they're trying to do is, because Luton's gone to the 3-5-2 and they're crossing the ball in, so he's just coming back to sit back a little bit into the back four. So it seems to me with 77 gone, they're keeping what they've got. Let's take not the chances and let Fulham. Sorry, what am I saying? Fulham. Let Millwall come after them, and they come onto them, and they'll get a breakaway. Hopefully, 78 gone now. It's Luton 1, Millwall 2.
Thank you, Pat. Let's wrap up where we are so far. We've had a couple of FA Cup games finished already. It finished Stoke City 0, Brighton of the Premier League 1, and Leicester 1, Blackburn of the Championship 2. Elsewhere in the FA Cup, in injury time, it's Fulham 2, Leeds 0, and still Bristol City 0, Man City 1. In the Championship, it's Luton 1, Millwall 2, as we've just heard. And also Preston 0, Coventry 0. And in the final seconds, we are looking at a 4-2 win for Torino. 6 minutes of added time in Italy. Let's cross over to the game at Ashton Gate in the FA Cup, where Jack Hesson is enjoying Bristol City versus Man City.
Yeah, still 2-0 in this game, 78 minutes played, and it really looks like the fizz has just went out of Bristol City's momentum in this game. Manchester City looking now to just shut up shop, Dare I say it, however, with 78 minutes played, I mean, if there is a Bristol City goal within the next 10 minutes or so, plus added time, it could make for an interesting finale. So, dare I say, it might not be over yet, but really Bristol City need to try and pick up the momentum again. They looked like they had it 1-0 that's just went away, and perhaps just a half chance could get that going for them again. 79 minutes played now. It's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 2.
Clock is running down at Craven Cottage. It looks like Fulham are going to see out this game. Let's cross over to Rich Bond.
Yes, well, Fulham look like they're going to close out, as you say. It's deep into stoppage time here. We've got about 2 minutes to play here, and it's been one of those ones for Leeds. They've put up a really good performance tonight, but it's just been 2 moments of real clinical finishing from Fulham, which have been the difference in the tie. Like I say, it's a hard one to take for Leeds fans, but they can take a lot from it. Fulham, though, looking like they're going to be into the next round of the Cup. So it's Fulham 2, Leeds United 0, with about half a minute to play, I think.
Yes, final seconds there. Injury time in Italy, but we have a couple of games still going on in England. It's still Bristol City 0, Man City 2. Apologies for saying that Man City had only scored 1 goal earlier on, and it's still Luton 1, Millwall 2. But the game at Deepdale has finished. No goals, I'm afraid, for Muki Khalifa on his first game. But what was your view of the game tonight?
No goals today, but there's still plenty to take away from this game for both teams. I personally think that Coventry were really kind of getting back into the game, and it just seems as though that both teams towards the end were just trying to steal a little something. But it just wasn't the day for that. It was a fairly entertaining game. Chances again, there were definitely kind of plenty of chances, especially towards the end of the game with a free kick that Ben Woodburn was to take. There was also Josh Anoma came on for Johnson for Preston to try and spice up the attack, but alas, it wasn't to be. So full time here, 90 minutes played, and it's Preston North End 0, Coventry 0.
Another goal at Ashton Gate, and it's another goal for Manchester City. Manchester City now leading Bristol City 3-0, and it's that man, KDB, Kevin De Bruyne, has scored that third goal for Manchester City. Let's go straight to Jack Hesson, who's watching this game for us on Football Live.
Yeah, game, set and match for Manchester City. It all comes partly from Jack Grealish's substitute. He's looked really lively since coming on. He cuts into the left-hand side, drags the space for Kevin De Bruyne, passes to Kevin De Bruyne, and I'd say from about 25, maybe 30 yards out, he takes the shot. It's a low-driven shot into the bottom left-hand corner. A really difficult finish, which Kevin De Bruyne makes look absolutely easy. And 81 minutes played now, as I say, game over. Bristol City 0, Manchester City 3.
Yeah, it looks like game over indeed. Let's have another pop over to Pat Noiret for an update on that game at Kenilworth Road, where last time we went over, Millwall were trying to run the clock down.
Yeah, they're still trying to do the same thing. 82 gone now. It's Luton 1, Millwall 2, but they're not. Luton are not really coming forward, not doing anything really, because the way there's no room for them to play. Even their passing game is not working now. All they can do is hopefully that Millwall will attack them and Luton will get a breakaway. But at the moment, they're just sitting back, and I can't see them getting back into this. Then again, you know, we're 82 gone. We're still 83 gone now. Still Luton 1, Millwall 2. Might be still a chance. We'll have to wait and see.
Full time in the FA Cup game. Let's cross over to Craven Cottage for a final wrap up from Fulham versus Leeds from Rich Bond.
Yes, it's full time here at Craven Cottage. It's Fulham 2, Leeds United 0. 2 moments of real quality in the game for the hosts. A first half strike from João Paulinho from range, giving them the lead before the break, before Mansell Solomon scored his 4th in as many games to seal the victory just inside the second half. It's only half the story though, as Leeds had plenty of chances to impact the game, the 2 goals disallowed for marginal offsides. Fulham now march on to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, and who knows, could it be their year this year with many of the big names out the trophy? We don't know, but it's Fulham 2, Leeds United year tonight.
Okay, let's have a quick look around and see where we are with our games. We've just got a couple of games still in play. In fact, let's let's quickly pop over to Turin, where Jordan Okoli, no question at all, has watched the game of the season. It's now finally got to full time. Jordan, how did you enjoy that game?
I enjoyed this one thoroughly. What a derby this was. Juventus and Torino. Great advertisement for Italian football. This was a thriller from start to finish. Goals from Rabiot, Cuadrado, Danilo for Juventus, and for Torino, goal for Sanabria and Caramo. Juventus welcome Paul Pogba back, and Allegri will be happy that he has the likes of Paul Pogba and Chiesa on his bench that he can bring on and change the game like they did. Juventus are chasing for a spot in Europe. Of course, they're in the round of 16 in the Europa League, and they needed the 3 points today, and they had to fight to get it, but they fought hard and they got there in the end. A thriller in Turin. Juventus 4, Torino 2.
Thank you, Jordan. It was a pleasure hearing all of that action from the Allianz Arena. And latest from the French Cup, it's Lyon 2, Grenoble 1. Let's bring you a few other scores from around the country. The games that we covered in the FA Cup, we've seen Stoke lose 1-0 to Brighton and Hove Albion at home. We've seen Leicester 1, Blackburn 2. Just finished, it was Fulham 2, Leeds United 0, and Bristol City are still 3-0 down at home to Man City in the Championship, still in the final 3 or so minutes in that game at Kenilworth Road. It's Luton 1, Millwall 2, and it finished, unfortunately for Muk Khalifa, it finished Preston 0, Coventry City 0, and then finally that game at the Allianz Arena, it finished Juventus 4, Torino 2 in that Turin derby. However, the action is not over. How about this for late drama in our final game in the Championship? We have a late goal. It was previously Luton Town 1, Millwall 2. It's now Luton 2, Millwall 2. With an equalising goal for Luton. We will pop over to Pat Noiret momentarily as soon as we can, but we'll try and bring you some other scores from around the other matches being played tonight. So 2-2, very, very late drama in that absolutely vital game in the Championship, and it's Luke Berry who has scored in the 87th minute for Luton Town at home to Millwall. Let's cross straight over to Pat for the latest on that goal.
That was a really good goal. They were patient, but then the ball went back to the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper hit it long. The ball was brought down, and he got played at the edge of the box. A sweet left foot, bottom left-hand corner. That deserved, yes, what a goal that was. I enjoyed that. Luton 2, Millwall 2, 87 gone.
Listen to Pat, all animated. Let's give you some other results from games in League One and League Two. In League One, it finished Derby 2, Cheltenham 0, finished Lincoln City 1, MK Dons 1. 10 men, Peterborough drew 0-0 at home to Charlton. And as we heard a little earlier on, it finished Bournemouth 3, Bolton 1. In League Two, it finished AFC Wimbledon 2, Stevenage 3. Stevenage trying to catch up with Leyton Orient at the top of League Two. Finished Barrow 1, Salford Town 1, Gillingham 0, Bradford City 2, Harrogate 1, Northampton Town 1, and Tranmere 1, Crawley Town 0. Crawley in big trouble of dropping out of the Football League altogether. In the FA Cup, finished Stoke City 0, Brighton 1, Leicester 1, Blackburn 2, Fulham 2, Leeds 0. And that game at Ashton Gate is still ongoing. Let's cross over to get the latest on that from Jack Hesson.
Yeah, we're coming down to closing stages of the game now. 88 minutes in, it's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 3, and tensions are flaring over for Bristol City now. There was a off-the-ball incident between Joe Williams and Bernardo Silva. Joe Williams looked like he just shoved him in the back. Silva goes to ground, the free kick's given, and then the two of them embark on what I can only really describe as a shoving match between the two. Luckily, it didn't go any further than that. Mariner, the referee, was able to deal with it comfortably, and it was a booking for both players. And really, the game has slowed down since then. Manchester City playing with a bit of less pressure now than what they were certainly 15 minutes ago. And 88 minutes played, it's Bristol City 0, Manchester City 3.
If we could just stay with you for a moment, Jack. On the face of it, this looks like a fairly regulation victory for Man City, but it's only really been the last 15 minutes since that attempt on goal and a great chance that you mentioned for Bristol City that Man City really have taken control. I mean, Bristol City were certainly not out of this game for large periods of time, were they?
They absolutely were not out of this game. And I think 3-0 is a harsh scoreline on them in reflection. Manchester City have had a lot of the ball. They've taken their chances, which Bristol City, while chances have been at a premium, that one chance that they had, it felt at the time like a sliding doors moment for Sam Bell in the middle of the box when he got his head onto it. He had to hit the target and score. He didn't. City go up the park, make it 2-0 and effectively kill the game. It does sum up Bristol City's night, but I don't think they'll be that disappointed with how they've played this evening.
Yes, no late drama for you at Ashton Gate, Jack, but Pat Moirette up at Kenilworth Road has had a great deal of late action. And how are things rounding off on the pitch, Pat?
Nearly had another goal for Luton, actually. It was a long ball put forward, and Morris, who's came back from an injury, got a shoulder injury, he just couldn't get his toe on it to take a shot. So nearly got another goal, but with 90 gone, with 4 minutes extra added on, it's Luton 2, Millwall 2.
Thank you, Pat. Just one. We've already had that update from Juventus, who beat Torino 4-2 in the Turin derby at the Allianz Arena. There was another game that finished earlier on in the day in Serie A. It finished shockingly and surprisingly, Cremonese 2, AS Roma 1. That's Cremonese's first victory in Serie A all season, as almost into March for their first 3 points of the season. They did knock Napoli, of all people, out of the Coppa Italia, but that was on penalties. Roma, you won't be surprised to hear, had Jose Mourinho sent off. I think that's the third red card for Jose this season, and he won't be happy about that. He won't be happy with the fine. He won't be happy with having to miss another game from the sidelines, and he will be absolutely furious at the infamy as being the first team beaten in the league by Cremonese. We are just in the final seconds. In fact, I think the final whistle has actually gone at Ashton Gate. Let's cross over to Jack Hesson for his final thoughts on that FA Cup game.
Yeah, full time and what seems on paper like a comprehensive victory for Manchester City as they go away with a 3-0 victory into the quarter-final. It didn't always look like that could be the case. They got things started, however, with Phil Foden just 7 minutes in. Marius' lovely ball across, met Foden at the back post for a tap-in. And Manchester City, well, they had most of the control of the game. Bristol City kept trying to get that one chance to get the equaliser, and that came from Sam Bell as Weissman whipped across into Bell. Bell got his head onto it. It's 6 yards. He's got to hit it into the target, and he wasn't able to do so. City then go up the park. Ball played to Alvarez. Alvarez plays in Foden again near the back post, and he slots it in to make it 2-0. Just after that, Grealish on the left-hand side opens up the space for Kevin De Bruyne. Plays him in. Kevin De Bruyne with the space at 25 yards. Drills a low-driven shot in to make it 3 and all but kill the game for Bristol City. As I said, a harsh one for Bristol City. They'll feel like what could have been, especially with that chance late on, but Manchester City deserved winners here. Full-time Bristol City 0, Manchester City 3.
Thank you, Jack, for bringing us everything from that game at Ashton Gate. Let's quickly round up how things ended up this evening before we sign off. In the FA Cup, it finished Stoke City 0, Brighton 1. Finished Leicester City 1, Blackburn Rovers 2. It finished Bristol City 0, Man City 3, as we've just heard. And it finished Fulham 2, Leeds United 0 in the Championship. It's just this moment finished Luton Town 2, Millwall 2. And it also finished Preston North End 0, Coventry 0. Finally, in Italy, we had that wonderful game at the Allianz Arena in Turin. The Turin derby, no doubt, where Juventus beat Torino 4-2. That's all from us at Football Live. A reminder, we do this every Saturday and every Sunday. Just follow the channel and you'll get updates on the latest and the next shows to come up. Thanks to producer John. Thanks to Barry on the socials. Thanks to all of our reporters from all the games this evening. But chiefly, thanks to you for tuning in. This has been Andrew Buonocore. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.